Ya comencé el stream. Puede ver si tiene audio.
camera's not working. Yeah, commentator's camera is not working. One sec. Properties. Shows it's working here. No idea as to why this isn't working. Oh, got it. Fixed it.
Dude, this is going to be amazing.
There
Did
we
you
go.
see my tweet? Len's like the best storyteller.
Yeah, he's great. Okay, we are live. How's it going, everybody?
What's up, guys?
We hopefully have all our issues fixed. It seems like we do. We've spent the last 9 days. Let us know if you guys have any issues connecting. We are also live to the chat. Let us know how we sound and everything, how we look, all that fun stuff. We'll try to fix anything that you guys Okay. Just like that. Yep. So, for those of you who are new to the stream, today we are playing 4080 PLO with a $50 punch ante, and not available for small betting and everything.
Right.
This is a mixture between a tap game and a tournament, and 6 hours of play today with 50 levels. We're playing, essentially playing very high stakes PLO. Pretty interesting table here. I'm sure some of you guys recognize these boards. There's a legend back in the day. What place did it take in the day?
I'm friends with a couple of guys who play really big, like you, very successful for many
Okay, cool. So it should be a very interesting game. Get footage of some of the other players and find out who else is in this little lineup. I'm sure there's going to be some very skilled players, but there might be some recreational players in here as well. This is from the Cage. Every Sunday they run a $55 buy-in satellite. I'm sure there's one today. They give out active people who satellite are not regular players. It looks like we got both there. We have King Jack 9 8. Which seems to be a bit of a loose open, but perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see this. I mean, we discussed this. We're going to see much of this opens because of play. Also because of different dynamics, so this is more of like a don't try this at home.
Right, exactly. I agree with that.
And actually can like switch chairs.
Yeah. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for stopping by. Password is stream via Slack. So the way this format works is this being sent to us is being sent to us on a 30-minute delay. So this all happened 30 minutes ago. We are replying to you guys live, and this is going to be split up into 90-minute rounds with 3-hour levels. So 90 minutes and a break, 90 minutes, break, and then level up, and then 3 more hours of total play. So Kevin P, I do not know. I also do not know Gromenkova. I'm awful with names, but
I think you nailed it.
I hope I did.
Romankova.
Yeah, I do not know Gromenkova. I don't think I've played with anyone here before except for Lee. Kevin P raising King Queen. Oh, and handful of times with him.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
Got some.
This is Jeff right now.
Yep.
Okay.
Jeff right now defending the King Jack 7-8 with the King 7 Diamonds, and Kevin T with the King Jack 9 King 1 Hearts.
Have you played mostly PLO with him or no limit?
I've played a mix. Yeah, I've played a mix of both. Final table, the $1,000 buy-in PLO event in Washington with him. He took 3rd place for that. Yeah, so I played a decent amount with him, honestly.
Nice. Was that at 5 diamond?
Yeah, 5 diamond.
Nice.
So both of our players here kind of connected with this board texture. I would expect this to go Jeff checking and Kevin P probably betting this card. The ace is a great card for Kevin's range.
Certainly.
And a pretty bad card for Jeff's range and his exact range.
And it's not horribly unreasonable that some combos of aces want to check back on this board.
Right,
so.
exactly. Like if you bet this board texture with aces and you got check raise, you would not be that happy about it.
For sure. And when you open under the gun, you look like the type of hand that has one pair in this board
Right.
a lot, so it's easy to get check raised.
I'm kind of surprised that Kevin P didn't bet this turn card. It's a great card for his range. He doesn't really have a hand with that much showdown, and he also doesn't have a hand that. I mean, I personally don't mind getting check raised off this. Maybe this is too much equity to get denied by our opponent.
By the turn, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. I would almost always delete c-bet that board. I don't
Right.
really, if they do check raise me, I'm like, alright, you probably have something really
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
Or like some mega draw that I'm doing terrible versus range.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Sunday Venom canceled. That's too bad. 40 players only didn't get challenged.
Oh wow, that's
That's
I wonder what the requirement is for
yeah.
it.
I've never like every Sunday that I've been online and that they've had it, it's rad. I think it's a great value tournament relatively. Of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the best 200 online, like the softest
Yeah,
online.
definitely.
I'm a massive donk because for about 6 weeks I saw it above all the registration stuff.
Right.
And so I just didn't register because I was like, oh, that's a thing that's happening in like a month. Because
Right.
why would they have a 2,500 every week? Nobody can run a
Right.
2,500 every weekend.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, yeah, it's every week. And I was like, oh, I've been missing out on this thing. I found out that they were running it because Joe won it one week.
Oh, really? So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. He finally had a lot of money on it. Yeah, instead of buying.
Yeah, yeah.
Ace Jack 6-3. Probably going to be a fold. Going Como. But Ace 5-5-4. I would expect Leaf to fold this from the cutoff, but with the ante in play, anything is possible, really, honestly.
You see just one suit, I take it?
Yeah, he just had one suit and wasn't suited.
Yeah, it's a pretty raggedy hand. Like, the non-5 boards are really tough to continue on, like a good screen type of flop.
It's possible to turn up the mic. We can hear you, but it's a little low. Yeah, I can turn
Yeah, we
up
can
our
definitely
audio
do
a tiny bit. This is a
Also
high.
bring this guy down a little bit towards us. It's probably very reasonable.
Issue with that is that you can see what they have.
Sorry. Oh, okay. Alright, let's see how that goes for you guys.
Yep, let us know.
Oh, we can actually interact now, right? We're live.
Yeah, we're live to chat. So
All
we
right,
can actually
guys.
talk with you guys.
Bring on the trolls. Let's
Yeah,
go.
Let's go. So Jeff decides to raise Ace Jack 10-7 blind versus blind. I personally probably don't raise enough blind versus blind from small blind in PLO. And I honestly don't know that great of a strategy to do it. Like, is it the type of thing where you should just be raising like the top 10%, top 20%? Do you limp everything as well? Like, what's your approach to small blind?
Yeah, actually, I've gone like back and forth on that a lot, and I think I really think it's one of the most difficult decisions in PLO because
Right.
it gets very complex. What ends up happening is like, if you limp everything, I mean, it's fine. Like it's probably reasonably easy to play ranges if you limp
Right.
everything, but you end up missing a lot of value with a lot of
Right.
very good hands, and you just have like much smaller pots when you have the top end of your hands and you hit big flops.
Yeah.
And if you start raising stuff, like you can only really raise like maximum of like 20% before you start raising too much good stuff, and then you have to limp fold way too often.
Right.
You really want to be limping almost everything.
Yeah,
obviously.
you don't really want to fold like anything.
Yeah, your hands have equity, so it's quite a difficult decision. I would imagine what you said, like 10% is or 15% is not horribly unreasonable
Right.
when it's all figured out in the end. But
You
I
probably
could be
need
very
to
wrong
find a
about
way
that.
to mix it too. And like that's one of the hardest things for me about PLO is finding the mixing strategy that is easy to actually use as a player. Like in Hold'em, I'll just go, oh my red, black. I will be, running bluffs on today or whatever. things like that, where it's pretty easy in Hold'em to find combinations to keep my frequency low. Jack 7-5 by Mr. Phil Nagy, the CEO of WPN, coming in from the hijack. He has a 20K stack, and I played some cash with him earlier the first night. He likes to play some hands.
Yeah?
Yeah, so we're going to see a lot of action from Phil. Button here with the 10-8, 6-6 double suited from Jeff Boski. Kevin P here in the small blind. I'm kind of surprised that he's peeling the ace king jack 10. You'd think with the button call, that's a pretty good spot to squeeze. Try to get heads up with Phil.
Yeah.
Hand with a lot of equity.
No, certainly it's a very reasonable hand to squeeze. So I think if this got to showdown, I would certainly be noting that he plays quite tight pre-flop, and I would be giving his squeezes like a very, very tight range.
Certainly an
forward.
Interesting flop. Kevin P here with top 2 pair and a gutter ball. Oh, that's a turn card. Phil drilling the 1 outer to now have the best hand. But even though he has the best hand, he's only at 54% because he's up against top 3 pair with a gutter ball, and then he's up against mid pair with the gutter ball and a flush draw.
Yeah.
So even though he has a set here, he's not that large of a favorite.
And it's interesting too because the queens have probably the best ever hand to just go like pot.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised queens here didn't check raise this turn card. I mean, I would love it with this hand.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't do it without the flush draw, but I think with the flush draw, it's a really great spot to go for it. And also the king of diamonds is on the board, so you have the second nut flush draw. I would definitely be going for a check raise there, and just put. I mean, if we do get called, like we should just still put our opponents in really tough spots on the river. I expect to get called a lot in folds on the river.
Yeah, as long as the river's not an ace, king, or jack, we're probably just going to take it down. Or bottom cardboard pair, we're probably just going to take it down at pretty high frequency, especially as like the stacked up that he had. When he check pots it, it's pretty unlikely that queen 10 from your opponent's going to call. He would have only had like a pot size bet.
Yeah, they might just get it in and run it twice or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So that can happen. But on top, so because that can happen, like when he gets called, he gets to go ahead to bluff the river as long as he doesn't forward pair.
And the thing is people might be like, I mean, he has like a set and like draws miss on the river, so like how would he ever fold? It's like, well, it started out as a 3-way pot, or it was a 3-way pot on the turn.
Yeah.
You have to give a lot more credit to somebody showing up with the nuts when the nuts
especially
is just
if you
too
don't
random.
Block the nuts.
Yeah.
And he didn't. He just
had no
set.
blockers at all. Yeah, I really like that spot for him, but he didn't go for it. Maybe it wouldn't have worked out. So what are you gonna do?
Someone's saying that they got rid of the high limit heads up hyper turbos now. Yep, they're working on turning those games into a much better experience for the players. See here, Jeff Boski here with the King 6-5-4 1 suit, which in the game that we were playing, anytime you got dealt a 1 suit card, we were like playing kind of like the 7 deuce game, except instead, anytime you were just dealt 1 suit, everyone at the table owed you $50. If you got dealt,
if you just had 1 suit.
Yeah, if you had like all hearts in your hand.
Okay.
If you got dealt trips, it was $25. If you got dealt quads, it was $300. And if you got dealt a straight flush, it was $300.
Okay, cool.
Some fun little side games.
Yeah, I like that. I used to do that. I used to play a couple home games, and they would have props like that, and I probably slept way too many of them.
I enjoyed
probably
props
a massive props fish.
So Sammy here with the 7-4-4-3 with the flush draw. It looks like he completed pre and then called a raise, which is a pretty reasonable, thing to do with this type of hand. If you're completing and folding it, you're giving up way too much equity and playability. And looks like he is going to get pushed off of this weak flush draw. We don't know what Leaf had, but this flop, Leaf's had a large advantage. This turn card, Leaf's had a monstrous advantage the way it's played. So Leaf can have a lot of different hands. Yep, Leaf had Queen, 10-7. Having the double blockers on the turn, he's just going to be bombing the river as well.
Yeah, same thing we were talking about before. He had the flush draw, I believe, as well. So it's like a really nice hand to go with it. This is an embarrassing story, but while we're talking about props, I played props with a couple friends in Australia last year during Aussie Millions. We were playing like $50 if you hit your prop, and it was just onboard props. You just have to like hit whatever your suit is, like 2 hearts. I slept them twice, and on the third time, they told me that I slept them, and I was like, yo, you guys gotta like pay me on this one or I'm gonna quit, and they just happily paid me to keep me in the game.
Hi Roman, saying hi, how's it going? Pass for the free roll here, it is, one sec, I saw it.
Hi Hero Man. How are you?
Scroll up here. Is Stream PLO. Let's see here. 9754 and the MP2 is just going to be a fold. Jeff Boski here with Queen, Queen 7-4 and hijack. I would be pretty surprised if he folded this. They're reasonable queens and he's in pretty late position. Wow, he did fold. I guess if he's folding that type of hand from the hijack, he doesn't really care that much about the ante, so he's probably treating it as though he would, an non-ante game and playing on the tighter side.
Yeah, I mean, I get it to some extent, but I would want to test the table out early and see how often they play back. The thing about hands like that is you really need to be thinking about what hands can be calling a 3-bet, or else, because you just can't be folding too often a 3-bets, and if you play too many hands like that can't really call 3-bets very happily, then
yeah, I mean, queens isn't like happily calling a 3-bet, but there was a suit, there was some connectivity with the low card. It's not like like it's only a hand that I personally would play from late position. But especially with the button ante, I think it's very playable until you're at a table that you're getting 3-bet really high frequency, in which case, I don't mind playing on the tighter side with it if I'm going to be facing a lot of 3-bet pots.
Yeah, and you're allowed to have some 3-bet folds, right?
Exactly.
So like maybe that's one that you want to
raise folds, yeah.
For sure, yeah. I'm not saying like it's definitely a fold, but I was just saying like, I could see where he's coming from. Maybe he wants to have different 3-bet folds in his range, and
raise folds.
Raise folds in his range. And that kind of makes sense to me.
So Maggie wearing the same jersey. Yep. Well, there are a lot of different jerseys. I'm sure he has a lot of the exact same one.
He's like Batman, guys. He's got a whole wardrobe full of, or is it Superman? I think it's Superman.
Whole wardrobe filled with the same stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
I kind of have that going on as well.
Opening the Queen Jack 10-8 from the hijack, which is a much more playable hand than those queens, so it's a very reasonable open. And Sam here peeling the aces, which is a very typical peel here. A lot of people with just bare aces without it being at least one suit to the ace or double suited, it tends to play pretty well as a peel instead, especially when you're this deep effective. When you 3-bet aces and you get peeled and you don't have a really high playability, you're going to get put into a lot of really bad spots.
Yeah, also the earlier position you are versus the opener, like the more you want to just call with like your entire range, because once you start 3-betting, like you mostly have to have aces and your hand becomes way too face up. Players can play against it really easily. You can get cold called behind by like any type of rundown, and then they can represent different rundowns on different boards. It just makes your life really difficult. Whereas if you just call, then you actually protect yourself from getting squeezed too often when you have your hands. And I really like that type of play a lot.
Looks like this went C-bet, call, barrel, call. I'm kind of surprised by the barrel here from the Queen Jack 10-8. They had, they had 2-pair, but it's pretty weak overall 2-pair. And they block like overpairs, but they don't really have anything else going with it. And when they get called on this flop, their opponent definitely has like some type of pretty monstrous hand that hits that texture, or a strong overpair that's not folding to that turn bet. So I think like you have to be willing to like triple barrel down with your hand to have a stronger bluff combo, or you need to be strong enough where you can beat most of their overpairs.
No, for sure. I was about to say, if you didn't say it, I could see triple barrel being really good, but firing 2 just won't get the overpairs that you're trying to get to fold. So now you're betting for value, but like you're definitely not getting value with an 8 with a queen kicker or whatever.
Especially as his opponent could just have like some type of rundown that turn tricks, then it's just not folding.
It is a spot where you can likely fire a pretty small bet and get all of their draws to fold, which is really nice, like because they're drawing dead some percentage of the time, so you might be able to fire like 55% a pot and still make it profitable, but it just seems like even if you're going to do that, you might as well fire a large bet on the river to get overpairs to potentially fold the river.
Exactly. Let's see here. Queen 5-5, Queen 5 deuce. Probably going to be
confirmed draw. Where is he?
Yeah, we're just going to be doing this table. However, we are rotating coverage in the sense that every 90 minutes of play, we will be looking at a new table. So the table will change around. So every 90 minutes, we are rotating. It won't just be the same, group of people. So try to give you guys a good view as much of the field as possible.
Wait, so this is Gormankova in the 1 seat?
Yeah, it's Gormankova in the 1 seat.
I thought she had a different name yesterday. I thought it was like Sharevkova or something like that.
Maybe it's a different one.
I think I ate breakfast this morning next to her.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know though.
We said hello for a minute. I was like, she looks really familiar. And I was like, yeah, we had coverage with her all day yesterday. She didn't have her hat on.
Looks like Sam A raised from the hijack with Queen 5 deuce deuce. Gormankova called small blind and Phil Nagy called from the big blind. And Phil flopped pretty well here.
This is a really loose open from Sam A.
Yeah, that is a very loose open from Sam.
Like, even if it was like Queen 5 deuce deuce with two
suit.
suits, it would be pretty loose. But this is quite the loose.
Yeah.
You made it work though, I think.
No, Phil
just
is led
Okay.
from, which is also a pretty interesting lead in the sense that he doesn't allow his opponent to bluff a hand like that or bluff like Queen Jack 10-9 or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like he prevents bluffing and doesn't really get called by that many worse hands.
Yeah,
It's not really a spot that I would lead that often because of that. Yeah, this is a very active table. The only person who's been playing on the tighter side has been Jeff Boski so far. Everyone else seems to be really going after it, which is good to see. This is a 6 max game, and there is an ante, and between those two things, it definitely makes it, really, really viable to play a lot of hands, especially if you think you have a strong post-flop edge on your opponents. It's just you do have to be a little careful in it, because in PLO, if your opponents play well versus your loose opens, you get hammered for it.
Yeah, it's not a game that's very forgiving to loose openers if people know what they're doing.
Right.
And even if, like, we're not even saying people have to play back at them exceptionally wide. Just if people play back with the right 3-betting frequencies that are, like, very reasonable, it's just going to make your life incredibly difficult.
They don't even need to be loose to really go after you. They just need to have an idea as to what a good PLO 3-bet range looks like.
But, I mean, that said, like, your best reason to be loose is, like, if you're trying to target, like, a big blind you don't think plays very well post-flop.
Exactly.
All these hands have a lot of equity, so it's like you can open almost anything and try to play a pot with them and then just outplay them after the flop.
And this is a reasoning you'll see behind people playing so loose, especially in big cash games. They think they're on the really good table. They're going to really try to go after it, and because of that, it works out pretty well for them.
Yeah.
King Jack 10-9 double suited.
That is a beautiful hand.
That is a beautiful hand. And as we can see, he's cold calling Phil Nagy's 3-bet. Phil 3-betting the 7-6-4-3 with the 7-4 suited, and Sam A opening King 9-4, and I would be kind of surprised if he folded this. Now that's going 3 ways. Yeah, he peels.
Did Phil just open the 2-2 Queen 5? Was that him?
No, that was Sam.
Oh,
Sam
okay.
who did it. So everyone kind of got a bit of a piece of this, except for, I guess, the Kings. I mean, the Kings has the best hand right now, but is a monster dog. Being that Phil flopped a pair and a draw, and his draw is completely live.
Yeah, I think Phil's gonna end up winning this pot like every time. It's pretty sick because
Kevin P has someone left hack behind, and then the Kings just have this awful spot. Even though they have the best hand, what are they truly ahead of? And as you can see, Phil uses some pretty good aggression to win a nice sized pot. Good,
for sure.
Good 3-way 3-bet pot's a good thing to take down, especially when you just have the worst pair and a draw. So this
that's interesting because that's. I'm sorry, that's like not a spot that I normally 3-bet.
Right.
And he, like, certainly made it work in every aspect of the word, not just because he won the pot, but also, like, you saw, what type of hands called him, and those hands are going to have a lot of trouble continuing. I mean, obviously the King Jack 9-10 will hit a lot of boards that can continue on, but they shared cards. Kings is almost never going to be able to continue because they basically need a set, and they have a king blocked already. It's just like those situations are going to come up a lot, and he's going to have a lot of boards that are, like, okay for him, like the pair plus draw there, and he's just going to get away with it. Too often the ace high boards are going to be his boards.
This is why, like, aggression in PLO is a pretty common tactic to use because of this type of thought process is that if I'm the aggressor, I can leverage my opponents a little bit. And, you know, we saw great leverage from Phil there. So Boski here with aces on the button, seeing an open to 225. This 9554 is almost certainly just folding. And Sam in the big blind here with king 843 double suited. It's going to be a pretty typical peel. This board texture is not that great for either opponent. You know, Sam here flop being a very weak flush draw. I would be pretty surprised if he continued in any fashion. You know, maybe if he did continue to be as a check raise, try to rep the 9x.
Yeah, I'd probably check raise this combo.
Yeah,
it's just like so weak.
Yeah, and he decided to peel it, which I'm not that huge of a fan of because, I mean, see here, Jeff's gonna just blow him off this equity that he has. You know, sure, he turned a 10, but the 10 isn't a straight draw on PLO. It's nothing. He doesn't have anything. He just has that 8 high flush draw.
Yeah, the thing that's important to take from that, I feel like, is that you need to be check raising some of your weakest hands, some of your strongest hands, and then calling with your kind of middling hands. On 997 2 hearts, like an 8 high flush draw is sort of like having a gut shot. And holding like you need to be check raising that hand because you're just when you check call, you're just not going to be profitable going forward in the hand.
Exactly.
But if you check raise, like the additional fold equity that you pick up actually makes you profitable.
And also, if your opponent doesn't have a 9, I mean, Boski ended up having a 9 there, but you know, if your opponent doesn't have a 9 there and they bet that flop and you check raise, as long as they don't have like a 9 or some monster draw, they're just folding. And you just take it down right there, which is great.
For sure. When you have plenty of 9s, like you have a lot of 9s that you peel from the big blind. So
for those of you guys who don't know, tonight we have a free roll at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That password is StreamPLO. Is Nacho Barbero still in? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he double bought and busted both bullets.
Yeah, unless he had a third.
Yeah, I don't think he bought in a third time.
Nacho had some unfortunate runouts yesterday.
Yeah, he definitely did. His bust hand was a hero call, but it was a very reasonable hero call considering the run out and everything.
Yeah.
Phil here opening the Ace Jack 9-3 from mid position 2, 280, and Leaf Force defending the Queen 5-6 with the flush heart, with heart flush draw. Except Phil is almost certainly just going to see about this and take it down. Leaf really can't continue on this board texture with this hand, and it's somewhat frustrating. Leaf.
And we're going to see this a lot, guys. People are going to make slightly loose opens. The big blind's going to have to call very loose because of the odds they're getting with these in play. And then, I mean, big blinds call pretty loose anyways with PLO, and then with the ante, they're going to call a lot. And then the opener's going to have a range advantage, and they're going to win the pot a lot. Like, you're going to see that all day long.
This is why you'll see really loose play work out very well for good PLO players. Like, Phil is really trying to leverage the stack that he has, especially in this format. You know, for those of you who don't know, the format that we're playing, it's not strictly a cash game. It's kind of like a hybrid between a cash game and a tournament, where at the end of the day, whatever your chips have in front of you, that's what they're worth.
Yeah.
So if Phil here, at the end of the day, has 24K, then he cashes for $24,000. And we're playing this level for a total of 3 hours, and then our last level is 50-100 with the button ante. And that's the last level of the day. So if you can survive through that 50-100 with whatever, that's what you bring home. And, you know, for the people who got in for $55 on that Sunday satellite, which is a wonderful satellite to play, you know, that last, 90 minutes is going to be stressful as none other, especially as we have a shot clock in play as well. You can't just, like, tank your way in. You're going to have to battle. And in PLO, where are you going to hide? It's not really a spot for you to go.
No, I mean, you can tighten up, but you still, it doesn't, in no limit when you tighten up, you end up playing big pairs and stuff that have a huge equity advantage.
Right, exactly.
With PLO, like when you tighten up and you play good aces, you're going to be like 60-40 versus other good hands, or 65-35.
And put into lots of really awkward spots, and there's not much you can do to like get away from that.
Actually, tightening up makes it worse for you because now it's very obvious what you have after the flop, and if you don't make a set, you just get put in all these difficult situations like you just said.
So Leaf here, I'm pretty sure he raised ace king 9-5, so it looks like he's going to be using a raising strategy versus Phil and c-betting his top 2 pair.
Yeah, it's something I just have the feeling that Leaf plays his small blind by instinct, like how he feels about the other player and how he, the situation at hand. I think that's a good way to go about. I mean, that's generally how I go about it in tournaments, for instance. And I think in something like this, where you just have such a wide array of different players, like I think that's a very good way to approach it.
Try to see who's on your left. You know, if it's someone that you think they'll fold a little bit, hey, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
You know, just the 9 equity from your opponent is a pretty great thing to do. And honestly, like, that thought process is pretty much how I approach PLO in general, where I'm just trying to figure out who my opponent is and, you know, reading the situation and reading them. And then going, okay, I've got this hand, this is my situation, this is my opponent, this is what I need to do. Which I realize isn't necessary, that's kind of like an old school way to play poker, and, you know, kind of just, you know, using my instincts and knowledge about the game. But PLO is so complex that it's hard, at least for me personally, to structure it like you can in Hold'em. So it looks like Kevin P here folding queen 8-8, Sam here with the 7-3 deuce deuce. Ace Jack 4-5. It's not that playable of a hand, but from the button with an ante in there, it certainly is going to have some reasonable playability. Gromankova here with a 10-10-8-4 in the small blind. I personally don't really like this hand. You know, it doesn't really have that great of multi-way playability. It's not that suited. It's not like, well connected. Phil here. Oh, she's in the big blind. I'm sorry. Phil here. Phil's in the small blind.
Yeah,
She's in
I
the
think her
big blind.
PL's probably very reasonable.
My bad.
No. I mean, from the small blind, I would definitely not get behind it.
Right, yeah. From the big blind, very reasonable. Yeah, Leaf here just smashes his flop. None of his opponents have anything. He's going to C-bet and take this down. It's a pretty reasonable sizing, just over half top.
I mean, Leaf smashes the flop, right?
Yeah, he just crushes the flop, C-bets, and takes it down. We're playing 40-80 with the 60 button ante, which the 60 button ante, because we're playing 6-max, converts to $10 per person. So we're playing with a 1/8 ante in 6-max, which, you know, it's a pretty reasonable size. You don't need a big ante in PLO for it to drastically affect how the game plays. And how much
especially when it doesn't affect the size that you can make at pre-flop. I mean,
exactly.
It's just literal dead money. It's so good. I can't say enough good stuff about the structure in general. The long levels are really cool. The fact that they don't have super long days is really cool. I love that it's a ante structure in general. Yeah, I love the button ante. I love the fact that the ante doesn't affect the raise size. Like, there's so many good things about this.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that they put a lot of thought into this structure and into this format and tried their best to, you know, give a good experience for the players.
Yeah.
And it's good to see that in a company. And I know, you know, operating in a legal gray area and all that stuff, but they do try their best to provide a good experience for the players, which goes a long ways towards, you know, me wanting to play on the site and me being comfortable playing there as well. And coming down to things like this. Jeff here defending the ace-9-8 deuce, which, you know, as we were saying earlier, we're going to be seeing lots of really loose defends, which Jeff hasn't been opening loose, but this is a pretty obvious auto defend, and Phil flops the nuts at pretty bad timing in the sense that he's just not getting any action on this.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if both can punch on the chip.
It's interesting to note that he just potted it on this flop, because I think you go with a number of different sizes, and just if I'm watching this and I see that he pots it,
Didn't he bet 400 into 600?
Oh, is there 600?
Yeah,
on the
there's
pot?
600.
He made it 175 pre. Oh, I think maybe they just had pre-flop sizing.
Yeah, I
and
think
then,
that pre-flop sizing.
Because when I just saw it
No,
come
no.
up, maybe it was 275.
Yeah, the
and I read it wrong.
downside when it showed the pot when you bet, he bet 400, and then total pot was 1,000. So,
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
yeah, 2/3 pot there is a pretty reasonable sizing.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if he had gone pot, that would be like a note I would take, because as soon as he goes smaller, we can really attack his range with a lot of different things.
Exactly.
And there's people who do that. They just click pot when they have a really, especially on turns, they click pot a lot when they have a really big hand, and they go a smaller sizing when they have some sort of big draw that wants to keep other draws in more likely.
Coupons, is this live today or is there still that delay? We are live for you guys, so we can interact perfectly with chat. Any questions you guys have for either of us, just let us know. Both of us have a decent amount of PLO experience, me more so from tournaments, Jesse more so from cash. Although rumor on the street is that you haven't won money in PLO cash.
Yeah, I told Ryan I divulged there Ryan at the airport, all of my biggest shots have gone pretty poorly. I had a poker after dark game where we played.
Hey, you were playing 2-400 or something like that?
Yeah, we were straddling most of the time to 8 or 1600.
Jeez, that's a massive.
Yeah, it was a really.
I mean,
quick
that's a
game.
massive like Hold'em game, but PLO, that is monster.
Yeah, it was a pretty sick game. We had Matt, Aussie Matt in there too, so it wasn't playing small by any means, but it was an interesting game.
Yeah, if you don't win in that game, you're probably a lifetime loser in PLO cash.
Yeah, if you have a few shots like that go wrong, it's not the best scenario. I might actually.
This is about a pretty big hand. So leaf force, 3-bet pre-flop, c-bet flop, barrel turn, then gets pretty awful run out for his hand. I'd be pretty shocked if he puts in another chip, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him lose this to Sam A's raising range that calls down on this board texture. He hits a lot of 2 pairs, lots of straights, flushes. Leaf just got pretty unfortunate with this run out.
Yeah, this is super awkward for Leaf.
Who do you think the best PLO player at
Leaf
table
is?
is? I have no idea. Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, Leaf's just going for it. This is pretty interesting.
Which? No, he checked. Wait.
He bet, I believe.
Oh, he did bet? Really?
I mean, I'd be really surprised if he check called. This
That's
is real
3.2K.
interesting. Leaf has just 1/8 blocker, which is not. You
think,
really need like a jack or two.
You know what I said earlier about like just feeling the hand and your opponent, the situation? That's all Leaf's doing here. Leaf realizes that Sam is a very loose player, and that Sam doesn't necessarily have all the types of hands that you're supposed to have in this spot. So he just thinks, hey, on this card, this guy has a lot of 2 pairs. If I turn my aces into a bluff, I'm getting all these 2 pairs to fold.
Yeah.
And I might even get a straight to fold because, the flush ran out.
Yeah, it's annoying when you block the straight that will fold.
Right. Blocking jack 8, yeah.
And I don't even know if it will fold, but like if it does, you're still blocking that. But yeah, I mean, I would imagine he has more 2 pairs than straights there, so that's already making it pretty good.
Yeah.
But that's real ambitious. That was very interesting. I feel like I was actually, before the hand on that question, I was gonna say, like, having not known any of the players or watched them play yet, I would imagine it would be Leaf.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I
that
feel like we're
hand
gonna, like, learn something today.
I think that
maybe.
hand was very well played by him. Like, understanding exactly where he's at in it, understanding what his opponent's range looks like, and then taking a hand that combinatorically might not necessarily be the best to use, but situationally he knew that he needed to bluff it, and he got his opponent to fold a stronger hand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You also can make the argument that when he checks, he gets bluffed by a lot of pair plus draws, like a queen plus a flush draw that missed, like ace queen, 3 deuce or something.
Right.
And you avoid getting bluffed by those hands, so that kind of adds to the profitability of the play a little bit.
Exactly. So the 9-8-7 deuce being open from the hijack by Phil, which is a pretty loose open. Phil's really been going for it. He has a lot of chips on the table, and he's going to try his best to really leverage that stack. Sam here with the king jack 6-5 and the big blind, and it looks like he's 3-betting it. It's definitely a loose 3-bet. I'm not seeing the exact sizing. Oh, no, it looks like he did just call. Phil's bet was also on the table in front of him. I now see. So it looks like he is just calling 200 extra. I was going to say this would be a very loose 3-bet. King jack of diamonds, 6-5 off. And he flops a bit of equity. Phil drills his flop with 2 pair and an up-down straight draw. We're going to see a bet and almost certainly take it down here. It's Thrash still in. Thrash did not make day 2. Leaf is definitely the best player at the table. He possibly is. Would not surprise me to any degree. Sam here check calling flop with just a pair and a backdoor straight draw and backdoor flush draw. I mean, to me, this type of hand in PLO, like, we did not hit this texture, just a check fold.
Yeah, I could potentially see check raising with this hand. It has a lot of good turns where you can continue bluffing. You put stuff like queens or aces or whatever in a really tough spot that don't have anything else with them. Check call, it seems like it's going to be really difficult to play most turns in rivers. And I mean, I don't really hate check call because, like, on a king or a jack, I think it's quite likely that your opponent continues barreling with a lot of hands, and you get like a very nice hand to call down. You pick up equity. I guess I could see playing it in either way, but I think it's much like I agree with you. I think it's much easier to play as a check raise.
Right, or check fold.
You
And
could,
like
you
also,
could make the argument that check calling is better than check folding, but I think it's pretty thin.
he also got into a situation on the river where it's pretty clear he doesn't have the best hand very often, and then didn't run a bluff. Which, if I'm check calling, I'm going to be bluffing this run out.
Especially when you block the straight.
Yeah,
you really,
exactly.
I think you really need to be going for it there.
And like, he doesn't need to bet that large to get even the type of hand that Phil had here, which was, you know, weak 2 pair. That's going to be a really tough call for Phil on the river if you lead 2/3 pot. There's not that much he can really do about it.
Yeah, there's a few missed heart combos that he beats, and then there's not that much else.
And he beats like some straight draws, but he had 9/8 in his hand. Like, he's not in that good of a spot.
Definitely.
Phil here, it's a king queen 8/5 from MP2 folding. Grummankova 9/8/5/4 probably folding as well. I'd be pretty surprised if she opened a Boski here. Ace 9 deuce deuce in the cutoff. Looks like he is going for the raise here, having the nut flush draw. The ace deuce of clubs. Nut flush draw possibilities with the ace deuce of clubs. Kevin P here, ace 10-10-4. Not too surprised to see that fold. You know, 3 hearts in your hand, even though you have the nut suited. You know, you're suited to the ace. It's just not that good of a hand, especially with that 4 hearts.
I think going back to that question of who's the best player at the table, I think that's actually like a pretty interesting question because PLO is different than No Limit in the sense that there's a lot of these like sporadic PLO games that are pretty big around the world that people don't really know much about.
Right.
And there are actually players in them that aren't really well known online, aren't really well known in certain this doesn't happen as much in No Limit because in No Limit you really have to like seek out the bigger games if you're quite good. But you can find these little pockets of games. So you end up with these players that you've never heard of. They're actually quite tough, especially at live poker.
Right, exactly.
And so you might underestimate people by a wide margin in this game, and you have to be really careful about that. Like, people might show down a really weird hand, and you just kind of like mark them as not as good as you, and you just don't really think about why they might play that hand against that player, and then all of a sudden they just start owning you a bunch of times, and after a few sessions you're like, well, I think this person might be really good. And just really, really tough and do things in a very unorthodox manner.
I agree that PLO has a lot more room for that in it. You know, in Hold'em, you know, so much of playing at a high level is about really understanding, you know, just the pure structure of the game. I feel as though you don't have as much room for creativity as you do in PLO. PLO, the game is so complex and there's so many combinations in every spot that it's a lot more about having a good feeling for the situation that you're in, not necessarily for what cards you have. I mean, obviously, if you're running it post, if you're just like flopping a big hand and running, you need to know like the math that goes into that. You know, you need to understand that a wrap is not that good on a flush card board or on a paired board. You need to understand those things.
Yeah.
You know, but for a lot of these situations, like Leaf running that hand of the aces, I don't think I would have. And that shows like a huge understanding of the exact situation that he's in.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, he shows a combo that most people just wouldn't think about.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really think about that because I generally need to have like not too many bluffs or else I can get picked off too easily, and I feel stupid about it. But you know, he had the confidence to choose that player and do that, and it's almost like I mean, you could make the argument that these spots come up so rarely that it's not worth putting a ton of like time into thinking about them. But at the same time, like, you could also make the argument that it's kind of like laziness that I like might not consider that spot, and he would. And I think it's like very interesting that on the fly he found that spot.
Right, exactly.
I can't imagine that he's just running that bluff like
just to
frequently.
Run it. Yeah, no. I think he just looked at the situation and went, hey, I need to bluff here. I'm going to try to win with this hand, and it's going to work.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's kind of how I feel about PLO. And, you know, I've gotten pretty good results playing with that kind of style, too.
Yeah, you have pretty great results, man. What do you have, 2 PLO final tables?
I have a win at the World Series from my bracelet back in 2000.
Or sorry, I was just thinking about World Series, by the way. I forgot
Yeah.
about other stuff.
Yeah, I have a win at the World Series, and I have a second at the World Series in half and half, and then I deep ran the 10K this year. I deep ran that 565 that I won, 2 years ago. I deep ran it this year as well. Cool. I've won at the Bellagio and a lot of other deep runs. So I like PLO a lot. It's a good game. or
Yeah,
the
PLO
great
is
game.
great.
Ace Queen Jack 5 here from Sam. Pretty typical open here from the hijack. You know, maybe a little loose without the suited ace, but perfectly fine. Cutoff here, leaf here is just going to be 3-betting these pretty strong aces. That's like one of the kind of amusing things about PLO is that there's a varying degree of aces. You can have aces that are complete and total just whatever, and you can have monstrous aces as well, and there's a huge difference in playability between them.
Yeah, and earlier when I talked about being early position versus early position,
Whoa,
just calling
this
with
is
aces.
a massive pot. Looks like, yeah, they just got it in.
Oh, on the flop?
Yeah, they just got this in on the flop. And Leaf here is a bit of a favorite. Still favorite going into that turn. Wins the
That's
first
a
board
good run out for
texture.
Leaf.
Yep. So he is
Wow.
free rolling the second pot. It's another pretty good turn card. And looks like he held in both. Wow, that's
Wow.
some sick run good from Leaf here, winning both runouts.
Yeah, what was his equity on the flop?
54%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we ran a decent amount above equity here. So, those of you guys who are new to the stream, every all-in is being ran twice. Now, what this, it's the downside in the sense that, hey, you're going to see some chop pop. But it's the upside in the sense that you're going to see people battle a lot harder because they're not that worried about busting. They can
Yeah.
just go, hey, you know, I have 45% here. Let's run it twice. I'm going to win once at pretty high frequency. So they're going to be taking thinner and thinner spots and playing certain situations much more aggressively because they're much less worried about busting. And
Yeah.
also, especially in this part of the day, I think people are going to be playing pretty aggressively in general, much more so compared to later in the day. Because now they're trying to build that big stack so they can try to like coast through the last, you know, part of that last level, which is going to be, you know, for those who are willing to battle, it's going to be a wonderful last level. For those who are trying to, you know, lock up a score, this is where you're trying to grow
Well,
so you can still survive through
For
that.
those who are trying to
that
battle,
shot.
for some, it's going to be a wonderful
Yeah.
last level.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean, and I do like the fact that the people who, you know, like got in a satellite and this is like a
Right.
big chunk of money,
Mhm.
like they can still, you know, fight back without having to worry as much about it.
Right.
Like they can possibly get it in and run it
And,
twice
right,
or whatever.
exactly.
It's really scary if, like, let's say your bankroll is like 30 grand and you satellite into this and you're up to like 30 grand in the last level and somebody puts you in and you're like even like a 70-30 favorite, which is like pretty big in
Right.
PLO. Like that's a
Monster
really
favorite.
scary situation.
Yeah, Kelly
And, like-
Criterion would not be happy with you.
Yeah, and like running it twice certainly makes it a lot better at the very least.
Right, because you're only in that spot. You're only going to lose, you know, 0.3 times 0.3. That's 9% of the time. It's much better than that 30% equity your opponent's going to,
Yeah.
you know, just hit and run it once. Let's see here. Fire. Let's see here. Players are hand again. Rooting for Phil Nagy in this event. Phil is CEO of WPN. Okay.
I'm rooting for
So-
Phil too right now. He's opening
he
real
is.
wide. I like watching him play.
Yeah. I really want to get who was opening really loose yesterday. Blanking on the kid's name.
Dan.
Dan, yes. Dan was
Dan
opening
S.
really loose.
I'll
and
never forget
really
Dan
hammering.
S.
Yeah. I really want to see him again. Wow. 3, 4, 5, 6.
That is a
just
nice block.
drills this.
This is actually
Blocking.
not bad for her either because
Yeah.
Phil has a blocker to the nuts and the flush draw. So
Yeah.
he actually, if she doesn't check raise, which she very well could check raise.
Yeah, I can see this going either way.
Yeah, especially when he makes this small, I think she's just gonna end up check raising.
Also, she
but
peeled from the button as well. So, like, yeah, she peeled this from the button. She's
Oh, wow.
not from the blinds.
yep.
And it looks like she's raising
Yeah, he's
it
gonna get away
anyways.
from it now
Yeah.
because of that, which is too bad.
Because she can have, like, aces and stuff. Yeah, if she just calls here, I bet he barrels down a pretty reasonable frequency on, like,
I would think so.
reasonable run
But she may also lose the pot, so I
Mhm.
guess fair enough that she raised. That could have been a really interesting hand, though.
Yeah, she just calls and turns, like, you know, an offsuit 8, and he barrels, and she calls.
Yep.
And the river is, you know, something that Phil doesn't connect on. You know, we're probably going to see him just triple barrel down, and she's going to have a, you know, easy call with the virtual nuts.
Yeah. I don't blame her at all for raising, but it could have been a really interesting hand if she had
Mhm.
just called there.
Yep. I mean, she definitely locked up winning a good chunk of her stack. Have those chips survive for later hands.
Mm-hmm.
And in PLO, you know, when you're put into spots where you have a ton of equity and you're worried about lots of turn cards or lots of river runouts, it's perfectly fine to raise and deny equity to your opponent's range. It's just when you flop that hard, you definitely want to encourage your opponent to keep betting. Boski here with the Queen Jack 9-4 on the button, folding it. So Kevin here with the Ace King 6-3 double suited. I think like if he raises here, we expect he's definitely going to be running, you know, pretty loose mixed strategy. But I'm not surprised to see him complete this if he does decide to do so.
Yeah, this is certainly a hand that could go either way, I think.
So he does just complete.
I don't mind it as like a stronger limp, but it's pretty strong hand,
Yeah.
so especially blind versus blind. Hey guys, how's the volume? I just got a report, but it was from a little while ago that the background volume was a little too loud. Are we doing well on volume now? Is everyone enjoying the volume of our mic compared to the background? I think it might have been before we changed it, but I'm just not sure, and I wanted to check. Volume is great. All right.
Awesome.
That's what I'm talking about. So we do see a raise and a call. Oh no, I'm sorry. We saw a limp and then a bet on the flop. Okay, fair enough.
Ace King 6, King 4. That's a turn card. Just swapped equities by a lot. I would expect this river to probably get bet by Kevin.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that. Oh, Kevin check called the flop.
Yeah, he check calls the flop. Sam bets the flop, checks back turn, and then just folds river.
That check call is pretty loose.
Yeah, you would expect him to just bet this instead.
I would rather bet than check call. Yeah, it's just like you're not gonna win the pot a lot when you check call with a 3. Obviously, like you will, you know, pick up 2-pair and be in really good shape sometimes, but you have to hit the offsuit, the non-diamond 2 pairs, and then some of them, like the ace, are cards that are expected to help you out. Yeah, like may not be the nuts, are expected to help you as well. So maybe the actual only cards your opponent stops barreling on. Yeah, there's like a lot of reasons why that's not the type of hand I would prefer to check call, and I'd rather just bet myself.
A lot of PLO in terms of like getting to realize equity is more about making sure you're doing the betting instead of doing the calling. That you are the aggressor in the hand. You know, denying your opponent's equity is really powerful. And it also just allows you to realize your own hand's equity a lot more often. It just makes the hands play better, makes hands play more comfortably.
Oh, this is going to be interesting, by the way.
To see whether or not Leaf 3-bets from the big blind, which he could. Those are pretty strong aces.
Yeah, they're not bad. I think.
Now with this call, he's definitely going to 3-bet.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I think there's going to be a squeeze situation. So.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like becomes such an easy 3-bet once you.
Sam also. Oh yeah.
Oh, this
once
is going to be great.
Yeah.
This is going to be interesting because him and Phil are. I mean, I guess Phil just calls, but they're.
Just call.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, he is super deep with Phil, and it does put him in a really awkward spot.
But the nice thing about, you know, this spot with 2 callers, that's a lot of money in there. I mean, the pot size is at 1.2K, so he could 3-bet it to 1,400.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty tough for Phil to, like, with how loose Phil's been opening, to have lots of calls there.
I was about to say, if this comes like Ace Queen X, this could be a disaster for Phil, but this actually is a.
Yeah, this is pretty, like, no one drills it that hard here. I mean, Phil with top, you know, Leaf with the overpair. No one really has that much. Leaf and Phil are flipping, and neither of them have, like, a really strong hand. Phil picking up a decent amount more equity on the turn with that gutter ball, that extra gutter ball he picks up.
I was going to say, I think Leaf leads here. Leaf has the option to turn his hand into a bluff on spades.
On rivers, yeah.
And that's kind of a huge proponent for betting. Or
yeah, and he's
part of betting.
Probably value betting this. I would expect him to value bet this because Phil's going to have, like, King X a lot. He's not going to have many 3s. If you bet this, he's going to assume you have a lot of bluffs. And Phil, from what we can see, doesn't like to fold. So I'm kind of surprised that he just, like, snap checked it, didn't consider it.
I mean, Leaf probably thought that he has a lot of, like, missed draw type of hands as well. But the thing is that
a lot of them would bet flop.
Yeah, or if they don't bet flop, they have something like top pair or middle pair to go with them, which might just, like, show down on the river anyway. So I'm with you. I think I prefer a bet there, but, you know, Who am I to question the great Leaf Force? He made a few plays that have already been pretty.
Yeah, he's been making some surprising plays that have been going very well for him. How's it going, D Tight and Colin O'Reilly? Ghost of M, always great to see you. Thanks for modding. Do a wonderful job as always. Mega Phi, test. It looks like Romankova here, 8-6-4 deuce, just folding. Boski here in the hijack with King, Queen, 10-8. Certainly a hand with a reasonable amount of playability, and with that, button ante is going to be an open. Bit of a loose open from Boski, which is surprising to see. He's generally been playing on this more snug side of things. 9-9-5-5. That's a pretty reasonable hand. I actually like using hands like these as 3-bets. Maybe not quite this week, but you know, those low to middling double paired hands, they don't play that great multi-way, but they play pretty well heads up in position as the aggressor. And the 9-9-5-5 is an awful shape. 2 9s are gone, so they only have 5s left. When you flop a set of 5s like he does here, like, are you that happy on this texture? I mean, he has the best hand, but that's pretty unlikely for him to have the best hand on an all-club texture.
I mean, yeah, on this board texture, I'm not very happy about it, and obviously we have to pot control / potentially fold. I will say this, the 9-9-5-5 is usually not that strong because people are playing a lot of hands that play really well in multi-way pots, which is like high pairs that overset you and stuff. In these games with the ante, the incentive to play a lot of hands because of people tightening up, whatever, we've already seen people come in.
Yeah, you just got overset, which is unfortunate because they're a one-outer.
We've already seen people like enter the pot with very loose holdings and things that don't play very well multi-way. And so I'm much happier to have a hand that can make a couple of middle sets because I feel like they'll win more often. But yeah, I mean, 9-9-5-5 looks really great in terms of being able to flop 2 sets, but making smaller sets is
pretty bad thing in PLO.
Yeah, you're gonna end up having to bet quite large on every street to protect, and then if you get raised, you're probably up against the nuts, but it's very difficult to fold now because you could also
I got a set.
Yeah, and you could be up against some draws. Like, you just end up, it's just not as profitable as it seems, basically.
Like, the only board texture you're happy about is, like, just flopping top set with no straight possible.
Yeah, which is why, like, Queen, Deuce, Deuce is considerably better than 9-9-5-5.
I would agree with that a lot.
If you have something like 8-7, 8-7, it becomes good again because you can make some good straight drops and stuff.
That's what I was saying. I'd want something a little more
connected, yeah.
Yep.
All right, we got a free roll for you guys.
They've already been giving it out in chat, So 6 p.m.
All right, we got the
Eastern
same free roll for you guys.
Got a free roll? Let's see here, King Jack 10-7. This is a pretty strong hand being double suited. You know, maybe not super strong, but very playable for sure. Raises to 250.
Talking about Kevin's hand?
Yeah, Kevin P's hand.
It's a pretty nice hand.
Especially for the hijack, it's a pretty nice looking
that's
hand.
a great hand.
Sam peeling the Ace Jack 3 deuce. Sam really likes to play a lot of hands. This is a type of hand that you don't really want to take multi-way. Yeah, it has enough flush draw, but like, you know, we're not playing PLO 8 here. We're playing PLO, and PLO, the 3 deuce is not, they're just not playable.
I think many years ago when people started exploring PLO a bit more, like having the nut flush draw was a lot more powerful because people would make the second nut flush and just decide they have to put in 3 streets. Nowadays, I mean, whatever, or third, fourth nut flush, whatever. Nowadays, it's like that's not enough on its own because people are aware that, you know, the third and fourth nut flush isn't very good, and they often don't even enter pots with those type of hands, or they 3-bet if they have a really good hand that has those sort of cards. So, like, what ends up happening is you really need to be able to make other big draws or other types of hands, and Ace Jack 3 deuce really can't do that.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's just like a really difficult situation to turn from unprofitable into profitable in this day and age.
And as you can see, the way in which Sam's been, you know, the way in which he's been playing loose has been like hurting his stack a lot in all these spots, where he's been, you know, a lot more passive versus being a lot more aggressive. Well, the aggressive loose play that we've been seeing from Leaf and from Phil and, you know, some of the others at the table, it's been winning them more pots. And that's what we saw yesterday as well, is that loose aggression in PLO is pretty strongly rewarded. Loose passivity in PLO is heavily punished.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you're gonna play on the more passive side, you definitely want to play on the tighter side in spots to make sure you have higher equity. But even then, it's still, I just don't like passivity.
I would just take it further and say just don't play on the passive side. It's just not a game that rewards passive play very often. Like I played against a guy one time. We were playing heads up PLO, and he was like, the stats that he was showing were just such that like he shouldn't be able to beat me. He was just like continuation betting 100% and raising like almost 100%, just like doing absurd things. But he just clicked pot a lot. It was like, yeah, he might have been running good as well, and this is like a while back.
Right.
But it's like my responses to it were to just like click call a lot and let him continue to bluff. But you just the boards change so much, and like what is good changes so often. It just you put yourself in so many difficult spots. You can check call certain hands, but you just really can't over check call in this game.
You have
and
to
you
like,
can't pot control that much.
You have to reply with aggression to their aggression.
Yeah.
It's not like in Hold'em where you can apply to their aggression with calling down and trapping them a little bit more, things like that, let them go to town. You know, PLO is mostly about equity denial. Is the name of the game. Ace Queen 10 for flopping top pair, the gutter ball straight flush draw, and no one else really flopping anything here, so I would expect Sam to take this pot down. That's fairly large. Looks like a $600, $700, or $800 bet.
Yeah.
And oh, 900. Hard to tell how those are stacked. And he takes it down, climbing back up to near starting stack. So 5K starting stack. Today we're playing total 6 hours, and whatever you have in your stack at the end of the day is what you cash for. So it's a pretty fun format. It's a very unique format. ACR is the only site that uses it, as far as I know. The only other place I've heard of it is in Minnesota. They have similar type of things because you can't bet more than $100 in a cash hand. So instead they do these, fusion style Singo cash games. That's the only other place I've heard of it. They've been doing that for like a handful of years. They definitely don't do it in this style with an Annie and with this long of a format. They just like do it for 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah, I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
We used to play home games when I was much younger, where we were essentially playing a tournament, but by the end of the night, like it'd be like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. and we just decided to chop it up. So it ended up being what your chips were worth.
Right.
So we kind of simulated this a little bit
Way
back in the day, but I don't think we really meant to do that.
So Phil here with aces, opening for pot. Seems to have been his go-to sizing for the most part. Gromankova here, we've been seeing her peel a lot of these types of hands. It's actually kind of surprising to see her 3-bet because she's been peeling these types of hands so often. Which I honestly kind of just want to fold this. Like, yeah, Phil's been really loose, but like, your queens aren't good. Like,
these are really bad
weak,
queens.
Very weak queens.
I could see overcalling these if it goes like raise and there's a collar already or 2 collars, but otherwise, I mean, the only value in this hand is flopping top set.
Yeah.
So you really need to go multiple ways so that you're already getting a great price to flop top set.
Yeah.
And when you do go multiple ways, like that means that there's a high likelihood that somebody else has a queen in their hand because people don't play low cards as often as high cards.
And the other issue is that, yeah, Phil is loose, but...
Oh, wow, she 3-bet this?
Yeah, she 3-bet.
Oh, she picked a really poor timing,
yeah. Phil's really loose, but, loose players can still wake up with good hands. And on top of that, what is a good hand for Phil is more about, like, playability than it is about anything else. So, like, all of his hands that, like, he's opening, like, he's calling a really high percentage of them. And what board textures do you like that's not top set? Like 10-9-8, King 10-9? Like, unless you're flopping the nuts or the effective nuts, you're not happy at all.
Yeah, for sure.
And, Phil, she just runs into it, Phil having aces. This is the other downside of 3-betting these queens is you can't just stick it in.
No,
if you have, like,
not.
Queen, Queen, Jack 9 double suited or something like that, and you get 4-bet, you're not happy about it, but at least you're going to run a reasonable amount of equity against aces. But with this, you get 4-bet, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. What's sick is she actually has 32%. I would have guessed that it's lower.
Yeah, it's probably because he's not double suited and his other cards don't connect with her other cards at all. So like if she had Queen, Queen, Jack 9, instead of having 32%, she has like 40%. Getting that in is perfectly fine, and then you get to run it twice too. So you're perfectly fine to just stick it in and go with it. But Queen Queen Jack 3, I mean, I think her having 32% against his aces is pretty fortunate. Not being blocked or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably your upper echelon versus most aces.
How do you control bankroll management in PLO? I built the majority of my bankrolls online from tournaments, and usually it's 50-50 profiting, losing PLO because I enjoy the cash prisons. Usually don't have time for 5+ hour tournaments.
You have a lot of buy-ins. That's how you control bankroll management in PLO. You have hundreds and hundreds of buy-ins.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're playing recreationally and you don't want to go broke and you're confident you have a reasonable edge in the game, I'd want 100 buy-ins. That's if you're like playing for fun and don't mind losing that money.
Yeah.
Like you must be willing to lose all 100 buy-ins. But if you don't want to lose all, well, if you don't want to go broke and you don't mind losing 100 buy-ins, then you should have like 300 buy-ins, 400 buy-ins, 500 buy-ins for online. Which sounds ridiculous, but I mean, so much PLO is about running these really thin equities. So all you're really doing is just running flip after flip after flip. And when you build up stacks in games, like if you get up to 4 buy-ins and you get into an 8 total buy-in flip, that's a lot of variance. That it's tons and tons of variance. The PLO cash variance, especially online, especially in 6 max, you're talking about exceptionally high variance games. And 200-300 buy-ins sounds like it's on the nitty side, but really it's on the necessary side. And if you want to be a nit, like if you're playing PLO cash professionally, I'd want 400 or 500 buy-ins plus a life roll and all that other stuff. Like these games are swinging.
Back in the day on Stars, I think I ran 150 buy-ins below all in EV.
Yeah, and that's not surprising. Like that.
Yeah, it's not.
That's pretty normal.
I mean,
honestly.
no one should feel bad either because I've run pretty well lifetime. But
you could say that.
Yeah, in that particular game, I have not run so well.
But it's a great game.
PLO.
It's a great game of variance. PLO is like all about just like super high variance, which makes it into a very good game overall because the weaker players and type of players that are willing to lose a lot of money play gambling games like PLO, like short deck, like things like that. And so because of that, the game has stayed pretty soft. It still is a lot, like if I'm playing live cash, the cash game I want to play is PLO or like a really good, multi-blind anti-hold'em game, which you don't find unless you're playing high stakes, which means I just want to play PLO. Like the 2-5-10 PLO at Aria is a lot of fun. 5-10 at Bellagio for hold'em is so mind-numbingly boring, and it's because of the type of people that are attracted to PLO. The games play really fast. Everyone's talking and drinking and having fun. Yeah. While at 5-10 Bellagio, I mean, if you've ever been there at like 4 p.m. on a weekday, it's just like no one's talking, no one's having fun, no one's like, it plays pretty slow. That's why I enjoy PLO so much, is that it's really a game that allows like socialness, and it's really high variance, which makes it a lot more fun and interesting.
For sure. There's basically no game that brings less social people to it than No Limit, except for the mixed game at the Bellagio.
Yeah.
I would never, ever play that game without putting my headphones in personally.
Really? That's surprising.
Yeah, I've sat next to that game for like... No, the high stakes mix.
Really?
Yeah, it's hours and hours of these guys just scream about who's angling who, and then you look up and you realize they haven't even started playing. They're just still trying to pick out the games. And it's just like the most absurd thing. I've listened to them for like 7 years now.
That's pretty surprising because, like, again, mixed games are kind of similar to PLO in that people make their decisions pretty quickly.
No. You would expect it. Limit Hold'em's fun.
Yeah.
You would expect this to go well, but they just can't seem to get along.
Let's see. Commentators, I am Ryan LaPlante, PLO bracelet winner, longtime professional.
I'm Jesse Sylvia. I'm a lockbox.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He's done all right for himself. But no bracelet yet.
No bracelet.
But I don't have a WPT title.
I did get a trophy finally.
Yeah?
Before that, I had never won a live tournament.
Before that win? Yeah, that's pretty insane.
I got heads up once in a daily at the Red Rock, and the guy asked me. It was me and Ashley went on a date, and I was drinking a lot of wine. The guy asked me to chop, and I was like, "Yeah, but you have to take the win because like I need to keep the hunger to win a tournament." And then I won the WPT, and I was like, "All right, that was a good choice that I did that." Yeah.
Let's see here. Jeff B here with Jack 10-8-4. I'd be shocked if you open King 10-8-8 from cutoff. I mean, it's not that strong of a hand, and he's not that deep, so not too surprising to see that fold. Sam here, he's been playing tons of hands, and this is a great button hand too. Like, the reason why I like this hand so much on the button is if we get 3-bet, we're so happily peeling. It's not like we're worried at all about anything. We just want to stick some chips in, see some flops, and, you know, make a lot of strong hands. And this hits lots of different board textures. This is a really strong playability hand.
Yeah.
Like, I'd much rather have this than those queens earlier.
Oh, yeah, not even close. This is like a world. If you're going to see a flop, this is a massive world difference.
Yeah. And I would yep, he's c-bet here. C-betting 400 and 660, which this aggression, he denied a ton of equity to his opponent. He didn't have that strong of a hand on the flop, but he denied a ton of equity to his opponent and got rewarded for it. Yeah,
that's the thing about PLO. You're not denying people's equity when they have a really strong hand, that like when they know what their equity is. So if they have like a gut shot and a flush draw, you're not going to deny their equity, right? But there's a lot of situations where...
Well, not often.
Yeah, well, there's like a lot of situations where you may have like aces and they have bottom pair, and against your particular hand they can call a bet, but they don't know how often you have a set, or you know, 2-pair and they're in much worse shape, or like pair plus flush draw.
Right.
So they end up having to fold, and there's a lot of situations like that. Like here, you might have like middle pair, which is a small pair, and your opponent has 4 overcards, and you get them to fold those 4 overcards, and that's a big win.
Lot of equity.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's why aggression is so important in this game. It isn't just like, oh, I sometimes get to bluff river and get you to fold, but it's just these little spots where you just keep picking off your opponent's equity, and it's a tremendous amount. It's like 35%.
That's
40%.
huge. Yeah, that's massive. Commentators, we just explained. Ryan LaPlante, Jesse Sylvia. We should probably get a commentators thing in chat.
I'm gonna change my name, so next time you get tripped up on it. That's what's going down.
Leaf just taking it down here. She didn't defend her big blind with King Queen 9-3. I think so. What we're saying with Gromikova is that she's like overvaluing high pocket pairs and undervaluing hands that have like overall reasonable playability. Like, not defending her big blind with that type of hand. Like, again, like that King Queen 9-3, it's not that good of a hand, but I wouldn't view it as any different than those queens that she 3-bet. Like, to me, that's maybe the queens are a bit stronger, but like that King Queen 9 against button open, you know, there are lots of board textures where you're wonderful on. Especially
also you're closing out the action. Also, you're putting less money in the pot. Also, you're
getting good odds on the defend, and you have and it's against button too.
You could make the argument that, you know, when you 3-bet specifically on the button, you might win the pot pre-flop sometimes, and you have position, but like, yeah, I mean, it's just like a much better hand in terms of playability and like every aspect of the word.
Right, exactly. Looks like Phil here, almost certainly opening to 280 here. Phil just keeps potting. So we saw Gromikova 3-bet the queens earlier. We might see her do it again here against Phil's open. And if you, once we get heads up, you'll see that Phil's hand isn't in that bad of shape against the queens. And this is like, you know, her having queens here, like, blocking that queen is pretty powerful and should give her a lot of equity.
Well, let's see how much it improves, though, when Jeff B gets out of there, too, because she might get
she's
most of that.
She's going to suck up all of that equity, and she's going to suck up some from Phil. So she's probably going to have, like, 55 to 60%, which, you know, she double blocks his high card, and she still doesn't have that much equity.
Yeah.
And he's a monster favorite in terms of playability. Like, it's much easier for him to just stick it in on flop than it is for her.
The nice thing for her here is that he's not going to re-raise.
Yeah.
And so when he just calls, the playability factor of his hand is nice, but it's less important to her because shallow, she's just gonna pot it and get it in on every board that doesn't have an ace or a king, and she's gonna do quite well versus the boards that don't have an ace or a king with that he gets it in on.
Right.
Like, he will make some 2 pairs obviously and stuff like that.
Looks like he folded too.
Oh wow.
I'm pretty surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly be one of his loosest calls.
Right.
With one suit, but
it's a triple rundown plus the suited queen. To me, like, maybe I slightly overplay some of these, and like I get the suited queen isn't that strong, but it's like, even against a hand that he's crushed by, he still has good equity and he has position. That's pretty powerful. Yeah,
you don't want to be in the business of folding very many unpaired hands that you've opened,
right?
Because then you're definitely folding way too much, and you're kind of getting abused for doing it. And she's clearly in the business of abusing people for raise folding too much if she's three-betting a hand.
Queens.
I mean, unsuited queens is a really janky hand. So like, you're just kind of getting owned there if you're folding too often. I don't mind folding that hand as much because it is like a pretty trashy hand in terms of.
That deep.
But you really don't want to be folding because you have to fold some of your worse hands that have a pair like, say you have like
sevens.
Yeah, or Jack 9 6 like one suit just doesn't play as well. So that's more reasonable, I think, to fold.
Looks like she's raising button with ace 10 10 8. Pretty strong hand and playability. Kevin P in the big blind. Certainly just going to be defending this.
This is a really pretty hand to get the feel from the big blind. This is
great.
like folding around to your big blind. Somebody opens, you have like 8-7 suited. You're like,
Which he does have 8-7 suited.
Oh yeah.
He even has it. He has 8-7 suited. This is the exact same in both spots. And he loses. This is a board texture that she's just going to either bet really small, high frequency, or she might check this back, but a lot of people will just like, and the only way he's going to win this is if he drills that 6, and that's just, pretty unlikely to do. I'd like to see her bet this turn, just to deny some equity to some hands. Not often she's going to get check raise, and it's just going to go check now. Like, in hold'em, I'm much more comfortable with like checking back, hands like weak aces here, like pocket queens or jacks or something, because I'm not too worried about my opponent like getting there on me. There's not that many ways I can get there, but in PLO, I'm a huge proponent of betting flops really small in textures like this, where we just deny lots of random equity to their hands, and we can also do it super loose.
Yeah.
Like we can just bet 20% pot there with like everything, and there's not much my opponent can do about it when I'm at such a large advantage.
Yeah, if you have that big of an advantage. I mean, they could start check raising you really wide, then you play back at them, and you start this whole weird equilibrium of unbalanced play that's kind of cool, but
it's
in general, that strategy just works way too well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see here, getting caught up with chat. Nope. Chat's been pretty quiet. If you guys have any questions for us, please feel free to fire away. Trying to do as much, strategy about the hands, other things going on. Try to get a good mix. Let us know what you guys like or dislike, what you want us to talk more about. We are happily to oblige. Gromankova opening Jack 10 9 5 from cutoff, it looks like. That to me is a pretty loose open. It doesn't have that much playability. Sam here. Oh, Kevin P here with aces and this small blind. It's probably going to 3-bet. Yep. Yeah, this is my issue with opening from the cutoff with this type of hand, is that it's not strong to peel 3-bet. If we're like double suited, it could be fine. Or if it's like one suit with the 7 or the 8, it's
even one suit can defend. Yeah.
But like no suits here, and you're going to 3-bet from the small blind, it's kind of hard for us to do anything. So I don't mind just letting go this type of hand.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'd prefer it over like a bad pair with like nothing else to go with it, maybe. But
if you had like bear 10s or bear jacks,
I mean, they're just both
not that.
You really like. I don't mind these type of hands if the 5 is like a 7,
right,
or an 8, because like we can't make flush draws, but at least we have a pretty sweet rundown.
Right. With Jack 10 9 8, I'm definitely opening from cutoff.
It's really amazing how these little differences in hands just changes your equity and your playability so much.
See, most people, when they see a PLO hand, they're looking at, oh, I have Jack 10, I have 10 9, I have Jack 9. Oh, hey, that's a lot of like really good middling cards. They have pretty reasonable playability. But in PLO, you can't think about, you just have these 2 cards. Instead, or these 3 cards. Instead, how does your total hand play? And Jack 10 9 5 does not play that great.
Yeah.
Now she's in this like pretty inflated pot and pretty awkward spot. Oh, well, she drills it. Okay, she drills it, all is right in the world. But like really, most of the time, she's not going to hit a lot of textures like this. And
I mean, she drills it. Yeah, she's still,
61% only.
Yeah, and on this board texture, like, you're not doing that much better than 61% because your opponent has to have unbelievably bad aces, in which case he might just check folds. I guess he has less than pot behind, so maybe not, but I could see check folding being not unreasonable if you have like ace, deuce 3 without a backdoor flush draw or something. Yeah, and most of the time he's just going to have a queen or a king or something to go with it.
Right. Yeah, if he has like, you know, or ace king queen, or ace king king queen, or ace king queen jack. Like,
Yeah.
she's in rough shape versus all of those. So 61% is probably the highest amount of equity she's really going to run.
Yeah, she's actually.
I'm surprised she didn't just jam this to run it twice.
I think she did. Oh, she just
No,
called.
she called.
Oh,
So when you
interesting.
get all in, from the moment you get all in is when you run it twice. Oh,
She's gonna be very
she got
happy that
very
she did
fortunate.
that.
Yeah. So now they're
So
only
now she
going
gets to run it twice with
from
way higher
here.
equity.
Yep.
Oh, no, sorry, not way higher
Similar
equity.
And
Do you
he
pick up a
drills the
flush draw or
first one.
something?
No.
Wonder why the equities didn't change more.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they didn't either. Maybe because he hits more 2 pairs on that 3. So it looks like they chopped it up anyways.
Yeah, I guess so. Just the flop should be taking into account that you have a lot of runner outs, so you
Right.
think the equities would change more when you don't hit one of your cards on the
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah,
I don't
let's
know.
see what they have. We don't have spills. Yep. Feature table actually changes every 90 minutes of play. So every half level, we're using 3-hour-long levels. So you guys will see a pretty good mix of players. But I don't think you'll see that much of a mix of table dynamics. I think each of, like, just the type of people that are going to play this type of event, buy in directly, I think you're going to get a pretty good mix of, like, satellite players and players who bought in. And the players who bought in are, a lot of them, going to be pretty aggressive. Like, we've been seeing that. Leaf's aggressive, Phil's aggressive. Yesterday, Dan was aggressive. We've been getting like 2 to 3 aggressive players at every table. So I think we're going to see something pretty similar where we have 2 or 3 really loose players that are going really hard, and then a couple players on the middle side of thing, maybe one tight player.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's kind of the dynamic that has to be drawn out, because you can't have overly aggressive players if you don't have underly aggressive players,
exactly.
right? Unless, you know, obviously you'll get guys in a game who just show up and play super loose every single game regardless of dynamics.
But
that
that's
person's
not that
generally a
common.
fish.
Yeah.
Like you have to adjust to your table. That's just like the name of the game.
6-5-4 deuce is, like I said, Phil's been playing pretty loose. This is certainly a loose open, but his table's been letting him get away with it, and he's been doing very well with it. Kevin P with king, queen, queen 9 on the button. It's pretty strong playability. I could see him taking this either way, but probably
Yeah,
leaning
same
towards
here.
peeling. Gromenkova also with a very strong hand. Yep, she's peeling. Now with her peel in there, king, queen, queen might lean towards 3-betting.
So this is the type of hand that I wouldn't mind seeing her
Yeah.
3-bet.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing her 3-bet this either. But like, this also plays pretty well multi-way because she has enough flush draws. She can make some high-end wraps. That kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
stuff.
sure. It's
a reasonable hand for either way.
Yeah, it's just
Easier to play it heads up.
when
in
Phil's
position.
been opening this
Yeah.
much, I wouldn't mind 3-betting.
Yeah.
And if she's gonna punish people with the queens, it would be cool to punish. I mean, it must be profitable to punish them with this type of
Yeah,
hand
exactly.
as well. But I mean, she does have a stack size where it
she
puts yourself in an
3-bets,
awkward.
yeah,
She just lets her opponent pot her in with all of their aces.
and like strong kings. and
Yeah,
stuff.
but she's actually not doing that well again, so I don't mind peeling, I guess.
I really like it too.
Ooh, this is a fun flop.
Ace, ace 6. Yep, 2 people with trips, and Sam's very loose.
Sam has very few outs to improve versus
Yeah.
Gromenkova too. She covers his 8.
Phil has. How does Phil have? Oh, there
Oh
you go.
my god.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just gonna get chopped most
Oh,
of the
never
time.
mind.
but-
They both have it. I
Yeah.
missed it. So that's a 1-outer to kind of a chop, except she has, you know, queens and jacks that she can win on. Well, he only has a 10, so that's why she's at that equity favorite.
Yep.
I could see this going bet, check raise, get it in. They run it twice, and maybe she drills one.
This is fun. They both have the nuts and are. What should I do here? Oh, I guess I'll pot it.
Sure, I'll put in more chips.
Ugh, whatever. I love these moments.
Yep, she's gonna stick her in.
She's like, oh, I don't know what I should do here, and then Leaf's over there like, oh, my food showed up. I'm a happy guy. I got 25 grand.
So they're gonna run this twice. And
Yikes.
Oh, ouch. Oh, that's
brutal,
painful.
yeah. That's rough.
Yeah, there's nothing she could do there. She played it perfectly, and instead of each person getting half the pot, they're each going to split the first one, and then he's going to get the second. So she's getting a quarter of this overall pot. So she just got quartered. Same way in like PLO 8 or something like that.
Pretty rough though.
Yeah, to have that much equity and then to get quartered.
To even be like, after the flop, those hands to even be chopping, or
Yeah.
like mostly chopping.
Yeah, because he drilled a one outer for them to then get it in, and for her to still have that equity favorite, and then to only get a quarter of it.
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate.
If the turn is like a 10, she probably does some sort of check calling and doesn't put it all in. She might lose a similar amount actually, but she only really gets it in with him on an 8.
Right.
And then this happens. So
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. And like that's where there's a lot of variance in poker that people don't really think about. It's not just like, did your aces hold? Did you win a flip? It's when did you win the flip? When did you cooler someone? When did all these different things play out? How many flops have you been hitting? How many turns have you been hitting? How all these things matter so much in determining variance. And PLO especially, there's so many different ways where you can just be sun running and not even realize it.
yeah.
That's one of the best things about poker, and also one of the most frustrating things at the same time. Because if that didn't exist, so many people wouldn't be willing to play the game at high stakes, in pretty tough games or games that they're at massive dog in. But on the other side of it, you kind of don't really know that well as where you're at as a player. I mean, there are ways you can figure it out, but your results isn't really one of them.
Yeah. You have to really zoom out to see who's doing the best in a certain game, and at the very high stakes you just won't get enough hands, so you really have to pick apart people's games to see if they're better than you. It just becomes this very complex thing, and it's really beautiful in that way.
You're right. I agree with that.
There were a bunch of people on 2+2 a few years ago. I remember Ansky and Barry Sweet were playing a bunch of 200, 400 heads up. And Ansky was down $1 million or something, and people were why would he continue to play him? What a terrible decision. It's dude, you could lose 25 buy-ins.
Yeah,
especially in heads up.
Yeah.
Those things happen, and it's we just have no idea at this point which one of them is a winner, and they clearly both think that they're still winners. And it's just a very interesting thing that happens, and you really have to be very level-headed to fight through that
really
kind of
know it,
variance and just continue to believe in yourself.
And a lot of people will go, oh, hey, let's just look at, my online, EVBB numbers and things like that. But even that, unless you have a large sample, that's not an accurate gauge. You need 100,000 plus hands just to have a reasonable idea of how well you're doing.
Yeah.
In terms of how many big blinds you're actually making and how many big blinds you should be making. And even then, it only gives it a small snapshot, especially in something like PLO, and also especially in tournaments. Tournaments is so brutal in terms of variance, and so brutal in terms of actually knowing how good you are without outside perspective from those you play against and your friends and things like that, coaches.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely why the games have stayed so good, and why there's still a ton of money be made from poker.
What up, Jeff Gem? How we doing, buddy?
Hey, buddy. Let's see here. As long as it's, yep, we do know the password, and we will be repeating it later. It has been said in this chat, though. Someone's saying the free roll should have been Null and Hold'em, but we're playing, the PLO cage. Why? If we're gonna do a free roll for the PLO cage, why would it be Hold'em?
I mean, come on.
You guys gotta play Little PLO.
It's a free roll. We're not going to play 4 cards, so let's make it as good as possible.
There we go. Password is stream PLO. One word. Nightbot. If you guys have any questions for us, feel free to hit us up. We are willing to chat about anything poker related, and especially if you guys have questions about hands or PLO theory, maybe help you guys crush the PLO. Yeah, you guys just need to hit us up. We'll interact with you guys as much as you want. Let's see here.
I think we're very close to the first break.
Yeah, I'm sure we're getting pretty close to the first break as well.
I actually thought when the pot started to get chopped, I was like, yeah, this will probably take us to the break here, because shop pots always take a minute. I had a friend who, well, you know, Mikey D. When he first moved to Vegas at the Bellagio, he got into a three-way all-in, and they decided to run it three times because they had never really done that. So it was a three-time three-way all-in pot, and somehow he got 5/6 of it.
Wow.
And something went wrong with the initial chop, and then people started arguing about how to chop it. And they had a full dealer rotation by the time
it got chopped properly.
Yeah.
Jeez. Boski here folding the queens, which isn't surprising. They're really bad queens. That is not that tight of a fold to any degree. Sam with the ace-8. Oh, wow. We were way behind here. Looks like we missed a bit of the action. That's okay.
Yeah, these things happen.
But Boski folded queens from hijack, I think. But they were like really bad queens. And
Seems reasonable.
yeah, it's very reasonable.
I like how Boski's been playing so far.
Looks like now is a break. We're going to be on a 15-minute break. I will let you see you guys very shortly.
Take care.
Before you enter the Sunday Venom, before you lock in your prey, think long and hard. With $1 million guaranteed and a first-place prize close to $200,000, how will a big win affect you? Will you be the same? Will it change you? With less than 400 players on average on the hunt for victory, you're about to find out. The $1 Million Encore Tourney has been rebranded to the Sunday Venom, and it's now a permanent fixture on the weekly schedule. Get into it every Sunday for $2,650. Or, if that's too much sting, win your way in through step tourneys starting as low as $0. Yes, free! You can also qualify via satellites and megas. For all you need to know, visit America's Cardroom.
America's Cardroom. Greatness awaits.
Sick of the daily grind? Swap your 9 to 5 for 72 hours in Costa Rica. The Winning Poker Network invites you to beautiful Costa Rica, where you can face off against sharks and fish in the live cage. The live cage is part cash game, part tournament, and all out incredible. And you can win your way in every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time in America's Cardroom's 3-package guaranteed satellite. If you win an $8,340 package, you've got yourself the $5,250 main event buy-in, up to $800 for airfare, $1,000 spending cash, hotel accommodations at the Taormina Casino and Hotel, and more. The Live Cage isn't just a poker event, it's the trip of a lifetime that you'll never forget. Grab your ticket today.
Any poker site can offer you a match bonus, but no one comes close to matching what we do for new players like you. When you make your first deposit, you'll earn 20 days of free cash up to $50. Just log into your account each day and head to the rewards section of the America's Cardroom software. Next, click Special Offers and choose $50 free cash. You'll then be presented with a card. Click it to turn it over and find out what you've won. It could be worth anywhere between $2 and $6. Remember to log in each of the 20 days starting the day you make your deposit, because if you forget to log in one day, you'll miss out on that day's free cash. You could use your free cash to play anything you want on America's Cardroom, from cash games to tournaments, sit and goes, or even jackpot poker. The choice is yours. The Beast is the world's first weekly progressive points race based on all your cash table play, and the best part is, it costs nothing to enter. 100% of the cost of the promotion is completely on us. Simply play in any qualifying real money cash games, and whether you win or lose, you'll be rewarded for every hand you contribute money to the pot. Your points will then be tallied on a leaderboard for you to track your progress. The more points you earn, the higher you'll rank and the more money you'll make. It's that easy. The weekly race begins every Saturday at 12 a.m. Eastern Time and goes until the following Friday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. America's Cardroom members win over $40,000 in Beast prizes every week. Are you ready to tame the beast and win? Because at America's Cardroom, we deliver more value to our members than anyone else in the poker industry. Join now. americascardroom.com. The next big thing is already here.
Sick of staring down 7-2 offsuit? Say goodbye to that happening because we're getting rid of deuces from the deck, along with 3s, 4s, and 5s. Okay, not all decks of cards, but you won't find any of them in 6+ No Limit Hold'em, the newest game at the Winning Poker Network. 6+ No Limit Hold'em is poker with a shorter deck. It plays just like your regular Texas Hold'em game, but requires a different strategy, comes with a different hand ranking system, and has the potential to shake things up, especially if you're playing against people who haven't watched this video yet. With 6+ No Limit Hold'em, it's much harder to find flushes, and the Jack-10 or Ace-King you happen to love, they're coin flips. And it gets even more interesting. With deuces through 5s removed from the deck, the ace still plays double duty when it comes to making a straight. There's your normal high straight with an ace, 10, jack, queen, king, ace, and there's your low straight, ace, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, the ace can sub for a 5 to make a straight. Oh, and one more thing. A flush beats a full house, and 3 of a kind beats a straight. There's a lot that makes 6+ No Limit Hold'em so exciting, but the real fun comes when you discover it for yourself. It's coming in September 2018 at Heads Up, 6max and 9max cash tables at Winning Poker Network 6+ No Limit Hold'em and take your chip stack higher than ever.
America's Cardroom. Greatness awaits.
Get ready for Crypto Overload. We're making it easy to get into the game at America's Cardroom with your favorite cryptocurrency. We are thrilled to announce that you can deposit and cash out using more than 60 different cryptocurrencies. We are the first poker site to offer this after already accepting Bitcoin from the beginning. Cryptocurrencies are the future, and while we can't predict which one is going to emerge as a market leader, we can predict that playing real money poker will never be easier at americascardroom.com.
Welcome to Sit and Go 2.0, the next evolution of poker. While the gameplay of Sit and Go 2.0 plays out the exact same way as traditional Sit and Go, the real action takes place before the cards hit the virtual felt. Let's see how it works. At the beginning of each game, there's a 20-second time period where everyone gets the chance to pick a card out of a deck of 55 cards. The deck consists of 52 standard playing cards that are colored red and green, instead of the typical red and black, along with 3 progressive jackpot gold cards that we'll explain to you as we go. Here's an example of a $10 buy-in Sit and Go. Once everyone has selected a card, it's time for the first player to the left of the dealer to reveal their card. It's green, which is good, because every time that a green card is revealed, the prize pool and number of players paid increases. Green means go, and red means stop. Should the card have been red, the pregame stops. no other player needs to reveal their card, and players play out a traditional sit and go for the posted prize pool that you see here in the middle of the screen. Our second player revealed one of the 3 gold cards in the deck. This is exciting because each time that a player reveals a gold card, it unlocks one of 3 progressive jackpots. The first gold card unlocks the small jackpot. Should the players reveal all 9 green cards before a red card, then however many gold cards are revealed in that process determines how big the jackpot they'll be playing for is. You'll notice that there are now 2 prize pools being displayed. The one on the left demonstrates the guaranteed prize pool should the jackpot not be played for. The one on the right shows how much the players will play for if they reveal 9 green cards before a red. The next 3 players also reveal green cards, and the 4th pulls yet another gold card. We're on a roll now with a total of 4 green cards and 2 gold cards. As you can see under the prize pool column, it's increased significantly. When we started the game, only 2 players were finishing in the money of a $70 prize pool game. Now, with 4 green cards revealed, we're up to a $140 prize pool with 6 players finishing in the money. The next 3 players all revealed green cards. The next card will be picked by the player who pulled the gold cards as opposed to green. The first gold card player is given another 20 seconds to pull another card. Great! Another green card. Now, back to the second player who originally pulled a gold card. The final gold card is revealed. This table will now be playing for the mega jackpot if the last card revealed is green. Once again, the player who picked the second gold card is allotted 20 seconds to pull their next card. It's green for the maximum payout. These players will now have the thrill of playing in the biggest sit and go of their lives, and every single player at the table is guaranteed thousands regardless of what place they finish. Sit and Go 2.0 is exclusively played on the Winning Poker Network.
America's Cardroom. Greatness awaits.
For all you crypto geeks out there, and because a lot of crypto geeks play with us on America's Cardroom, I happen to stumble across, pure luck that I stumbled across this, and I thought it would be worth mentioning to you guys, right? So a lot of us keep our crypto wallets on our phone. This is some info wallet or whatever that was recommended to me by some website at some point. I don't use it. It's an empty wallet, so you guys who see my password phrase, you're not gonna be able to get anything out of it. But here's the combination of things. I'm using an iPhone. I think you can do it on Android as well because all the components will be there. So you have to have a wallet on your phone, right, that you trade cryptocurrencies of some sort. And never ever do this, but here's a picture of the seed words. So there's the words, right? So what this is meant to be is your seed. So if you ever lose your wallet, you can type in these words and recover any amount of Bitcoin cryptocurrency that you have on that wallet. It's a security feature. So you're supposed to write that down, put it in your safe. Well, it just so happened that I had to restore my wallet on my phone. Right? So what I did was I took these words, right, and I put them into the app, and it worked. I was able to recover all of my cryptocurrency. That's a pretty big win. After that, I realized that I have one of these cool things. I have I don't know if you can see that. It's a key swiper to help you text stuff faster, right? It has like an AI in it, and so that it predicts what you're going to do. So I'm just going to go through real quick. Here's a few things that you have to have. Is you have to have use a wallet on your phone, right? You use like a key swiper. Right? Let me show you. I saw that.
a key swiper, which is like an AI that predicts what you're going to be typing, right? And your seed, right? So this is the seed word that I used to restore my wallet. So what happened was I needed to restore my wallet, so I had my seed. I went in, and the first word in my seed was mix, as you can see. And I showed you before, I have one of those key swipers. So I'm going to type in the first word, mix, right? Space, and you see the second word is buddy, and lo and behold, the second word is buddy, right? So we'll just go ahead, and I won't ever type another word, and add buddy, romance, divert, live, defy, use, behind, whip, squeeze, zero, test, right? And there they are. That's my seed words, and my keyboard swiper just remembered all of my words. So if that's stored on a server somewhere else, or AI, if you opt in, then they can be improving your AI and be getting what you're doing. And they can actually have the seed and not even realize it, or realize it. I don't know. So the thing you want to do is turn off your keyboard swiper if you're ever restoring the seed to your wallet on your phone, right? You don't want to have that because it's a pretty big security breach for all your cryptos. Yeah, so super cool. There you go. And that's how not to get all your Bitcoin stolen. Thanks.
America's Cardroom is thrilled to introduce the Railbird. This new online poker feature lets your friends rail with you while you storm through the tourneys and stack your way to victories at the cash tables. It's super easy to use. While seated at the table, you'll see a little TV icon on your avatar. Just click it and a link will be copied to your clipboard. Then, just send the link to your friends and tell them to come watch how it's done. All they'll need to do is drop the link in a web browser to start watching you play live. The best part? The live feed follows you, so when you move to another table, the Railbirds move with you. It's just like they're there. The Railbird is now live at America's Cardroom. Let the railing begin.
Before you enter the Sunday Venom, before you lock in your prey, think long and hard. With $1 million guaranteed and a first-place prize close to $200,000, how will a big win affect you? Will you be the same? Will it change you? With less than 400 players on average on the hunt for victory, you're about to find out. The $1 Million Encore Tourney has been rebranded to the Sunday Venom, and it's now a permanent fixture on the weekly schedule. Get into it every Sunday for $2,650. Or, if that's too much sting, win your way in through step tourneys starting as low as $0. Yes, free! You can also qualify via satellites and megas. For all you need to know, visit America's Cardroom.
America's Cardroom. Greatness awaits.
Sick of the daily grind? Swap your 9 to 5 for 72 hours in Costa Rica. The Winning Poker Network invites you to beautiful Costa Rica, where you can face off against sharks and fish in the live cage. The live cage is part cash game, part tournament, and all out incredible. And you can win your way in every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time in America's Cardroom's 3-package guaranteed satellite. If you win an $8,340 package, you've got yourself the $5,250 main event buy-in, up to $800 for airfare, $1,000 spending cash, hotel accommodations at the Taormina Casino and Hotel, and more. The Live Cage isn't just a poker event, it's the trip of a lifetime that you'll never forget. Grab your ticket today.
Any poker site can offer you a match bonus, but no one comes close to matching what we do for new players like you. When you make your first deposit, you'll earn 20 days of free cash up to $50. Just log into your account each day and head to the rewards section of the America's Cardroom software. Next, click Special Offers and choose $50 free cash. You'll then be presented with a card. Click it to turn it over and find out what you've won. It could be worth anywhere between $2 and $6. Remember to log in each of the 20 days starting the day you make your deposit, because if you forget to log in one day, you'll miss out on that day's free cash. You could use your free cash to play anything you want on America's Cardroom, from cash games to tournaments, sit and goes, or even jackpot poker. The choice is yours. The Beast is the world's first weekly progressive points race based on all your cash table.
Okay, looks like we're coming back, and joining us on stream is Liberal Chick.
Hey guys.
Courtney Hamilton, she also played in this 5K event. What did you think of it?
It was awesome. The structure's really great. I know you guys have talked about it, but the 3-hour levels really let you get a feel for your table, for the other players, just for the entire event. It lets you build a stack, and if you get short stack or you take a hit, it really allows you time to build back up and not feel rushed and try and get it in bad. Mandatory running it twice when a player is all in is awesome. Obviously, I mean, maybe not everybody loves running it twice, but I know I do, and I know a lot of cash game players do, and it just removes some of that variance. And
it also really drives the action too.
Oh, it allows people to get it in, I feel like, a lot lighter if they feel like they're going to get 2 boards, especially 2 full boards or 2 turns and 2 rivers. And so they're sticking it in, and we're just seeing way, way, way more action.
Right. Yeah, it's been great.
Oh, it's been awesome. I loved it.
Wait, did you buy it directly, or did you satellite in?
I bought it directly.
You told me earlier you plan to have 2 bullets every time when you come back.
Yeah, from now on I'll always have the second bullet. But this is an event that I'm going to come back to like every time. It's been wonderful. ACR has been great, and just the field is small. I think they included double buys, and yesterday it was 35 players, something like that. And a lot, as a PLO player, a lot of added value by the fact that almost all of these players won their tickets playing No Limit.
Right, exactly.
So they may have experience playing PLO, but a lot of them just don't.
Don't have a lot.
And if they do, it's very limited. I mean, I was sitting with Jeff Gross yesterday, who is, we all know, in streams and is, very, very accomplished in poker, but he doesn't really play PLO that much. And so we were sitting and chatting, and he asked me about some of the spots, and we were talking about some lines that I took against him. But he was on my left, and I still put a ton of pressure on him because I knew that he didn't have as much experience.
Yeah, he's in your court.
So post-flop, I knew that I had an advantage, so I tried to get the max number of chips out of him every time. And it's, and I don't want to pick on Jeff, but like, there's a lot of spots like that in this tournament, and it makes it fun, it makes it entertaining, and people are all really, really nice.
We've been seeing a really wide range of play styles and approaches in this, and it really shows that some people don't have as much experience playing the game. And in PLO, that's a huge disadvantage considering how complex it is and how much nuance there is.
I mean, just watching people, just sitting with people while they were checking their cards. Players next to players yesterday on day one were just able to see people's cards because it was just like the very peel it up and then like put it in front of your face, looking at cards, which is what I like to see when I sit down at the PLO table.
Definitely. So looks like we have a hijack open from Sam with a monstrously pretty hand, the 8-7-6-5. I love these types of rundowns. It's not quite as good as a 9-10 Jack Queen type of thing, but it's still a pretty monstrous hand. And he hits a really good board texture for this flopping, wrap. Phil had 3-bet the button, chose a smaller sizing, try to isolate this opponent. I would expect Phil to c-bet this a pretty high percentage. Yep, he's going for the 600 c-bet. And not surprising to see Sam A find a peel. Pretty good flop for his hand. There are lots of really bad turn cards for him, and lots of ways in which Phil just takes this down. Yeah, like a turn jack, if Phil decides to pull the trigger here and like bets a sizable, he gets picked up diamond draw too. I guess I actually don't think Sam's gonna fold with the diamond draw.
Yeah, he's probably not going anywhere.
Yeah,
That's one way to get there.
Yeah, gets there the fun way. I would expect Sam to check this. You know, if he bets and gets raised, you know, pretty unfortunate for him. And also by checking, you allow Phil to try to take a stab, but it looks like he led to a minor degree.
It's also nice to have some flushes in your checking range. It's not like absolutely necessary because you could bluff catch other stuff, but I do think it makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely, and especially at this table with some of these players. And Phil is so aggressive.
Yeah, he's been putting on a clinic today.
Yeah, he can make it very. I played with him a bit yesterday, and he can definitely make it very challenging. And he puts a lot of pressure on you. Right. And he takes interesting lines and interesting spots. And sometimes it's nice to have things like a flush in your check back range just to protect that and to make sure that not just on this hand but on future hands you can either get max value or you can protect it and sort of pot control when you need to.
Yeah. Speaking of the Jack 10-9-8, Phil has it in the cutoff. He's been very aggressive. Kevin P is going to have a pretty easy defend the big line. I mean, Griminkova has been 3-betting pretty loose, but I wouldn't expect her to play this at all.
She really likes 3-betting.
Like Bear Queens.
Yeah, like bigger pairs.
Which
more than, like if she's going to err towards like not great hands and turn them into 3-bet, she doesn't really like the unpaired hands, it seems like.
Is she doing it in all positions or
just from late for the most part?
Yeah, it was like
Against
button
late.
versus cutoff or button versus hijack.
Jeff here has ace 10 7-7 double suited. Is he 3-betting this? Looks like 3-bet.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for him that Phil just has a monstrous hand. It has a monstrous hand that like
Phil's gonna repot.
really screws with his equity post.
Is Phil? This is a repot.
Phil's for sure repotting this.
Because I mean, obviously you could go either way with it. Yeah, he just. It's gonna be a really good spot for him to do so because.
Yeah,
I think
he's just peeling it. Jeff has been so tight. Jeff really hasn't been 3-betting.
That makes a
and
big
he just
difference.
has aces. So I was surprised to see Jeff choose this combo, but it is against
this is
Phil.
a pretty great hand to just call with usually.
And it looks like Jeff is probably going to win this. Probably just see bets like 550. Yeah, that's why I said probably. Yeah, Phil has pretty dust equity here. It doesn't flop a flush draw at all. Has a gutter ball, nothing nice to go with it. Yeah, he just folds it. Yeah, it's really annoying in PLO to have a hand that monstrous and that pretty and just get nothing with it. Yeah.
Even if you had like the jack of spades instead of the 8 of spades, he might be able to float and win on spades sometimes. But the 8's pretty bad. Like, it's not even like a great blocker when you do turn spades.
You want to float there so bad, and you'll find any excuse.
Yeah.
And then there's so many turns that are gonna let you down and just break your heart. So I try and lean towards folding, but I'm floating a lot of the times there if I have the spade or if I have.
Especially if you have a read on your opponent as being loose too.
Yeah.
But Jeff's been on the tight side so far. So it was great to see him like use that image to 3-bet. Hand with playability. It's not like it's you didn't choose that bad of a hand to have as a 3-bet. Double suited. He's against a loosest player, and he's using that image very well.
Yeah. Roik, you asked, did Courtney get knocked out? Nah, she's still in. She's just hanging out.
Yeah. Just chilling.
Blinding down for no reason.
Yeah. I unfortunately made an ill-timed bluff yesterday, and that I thought would get through, and it did not, and that crippled me. And finally got it in against Phil with ace 10, 8-9 double suited, and lost both boards. Just whiffed them both.
Yeah, that's brutal.
So,
it's too bad that like the run it twice. The one thing that it doesn't inspire in terms of like high variance plays is bluffing because you just either lose or you win.
Yeah.
And people I like to see games where people want to bluff.
Yeah. Well,
that's more fun.
When I got short. Well, a lot of people get short, and they'll make the mistake of getting too tight, and whereas, or too loose.
Right.
And there's like this perfect soft spot when you're really, really short stacked. And I was at one point very, very short stacked, And there were a lot of hands that I think that a lot of players that haven't looked or used sort of solvers or looked at sort of the game at that level that would think that, oh my god, why would you ever be like wasting chips on this hand? But they're hands that are nutted, or they're hands that they're always flopping, or generally flopping pretty well, and that I'm going to have a lot of equity, and I'm going to be able to get, I have such a low SPR that I'm just getting stacks in, and I'm probably, especially now with running it twice, I'm going to hit
pretty high
one,
frequency.
if not both boards. So
yeah, especially PLO, a lot of short stack PLO is about understanding how close equities run and just being willing to put it in. It's also why like playing short stack PLO is one of the easiest ways to play PLO. It's why like online used to be much more of a problem with people short stacking, and especially PLO. You really get to punish people who are opening too loose.
Absolutely.
And in cash, you see it live a little bit often as well. People try to sit as short as they can to really punish the people that are like opening loose on these big stacks.
Yeah, it's a really, really great strategy.
Yeah. I used it yesterday against Phil.
Sometimes you get mocked if you buy in the shortest stack at a cash game, but you know,
jokes on them.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've definitely done it in the past. It's also nice if you're shot taking a big game, like to buy in short and then just try to run it up.
So you can
and
have
you can,
more bullets to try to run it up. Too.
Yeah.
I was short stacking a game in Texas it was a 5-10 game, but it ran it was 5-5. It was 5-5, 10, 25. And so I was buying in at the normal rate for the 5-5 game, but I was buying in short for obviously something that big. And I remember one of my friends was like, why don't you have more chips? And I was like, because I can use these better than if I just buy in for like well, not even the max, just like a medium stack, or still be just covered immensely.
So Gromankova here has aces. She has been just 3-betting all of her big hands, and on the stacked up, she's just going to be 3-betting this to stack off. Being able to put in like 40% of your stack is pretty massive in PLO. It doesn't really matter how good or bad your ace is in when you can put in 40% of your stack.
This is the dream, man.
And Phil having ace, king, queen with the suited ace, king, I wouldn't be that surprised if he peels versus it. I mean, especially we've seen her 3-bet queens before. He possibly knows about it. He could. So I would be kind of surprised if he folded this.
I will say this: her 3-bet squeezing range is probably quite different, and especially against Phil, it might be a little bit different because she knows she's getting called a lot. But I guess she did get a fold against him earlier.
She got a fold against him earlier, and she 3-bet him earlier as well with those queens, and then, like just shoved on her. She had to find a fold. Yep. So Phil's calls a 670 more. Pot size 2100, and if Phil flops some type of equity, we're going to see this being gotten in. Yep. Oh, that is very fortunate for him. That is very unfortunate for Gromankova. Probably just going to stick this in. She has less than pot, and they're going to run it twice, and she's going to get the bad news that she got. Very unfortunate. Unless she can rebate.
She doesn't have backdoor diamonds either.
She wins the first one. That's a good way to do it.
She can win both. I feel like she's gonna win both.
So,
she's gonna hit a 7.
Chop.
That's actually a tough question to answer when you're playing in a private game.
Yeah.
Like, why are you playing so short? Because you don't want to just be like, oh, I have an edge.
Yeah.
You have to be like, I don't have any other money.
Yeah. So I'm gonna punish you with my tiny stack.
Yeah.
Or just be like, sorry guys, you guys are too good for me. I'm gonna buy and show.
Yeah. As a girl, I'm always just like, this is all I have. And I'm still learning, and I don't want to lose too much.
And then they just get crushed.
And then
That's
it's
really
also
reasonable.
just a lot of fun to spin up stacks and PLO.
It is so much more fun. I find it way more fun than in No Limit. I mean, I find the entire game much more entertaining. I've made a full switch to PLO. I very rarely play No Limit, but it's just so much more rewarding. I feel like you work for it so much harder.
And the swings in it make it a lot more fun as well.
Definitely.
It's also really difficult, I feel like, to go back to No Limit. Like, it's tough to go back to 2 cards when you're just making flushes and straights and stuff. It sounds stupid, but it's just so much more fun when you're making these big hands.
Absolutely.
You have to hold them and you flop like a pair, and it feels like it's been a while since you've done that.
Gromankova has 8-7-7-6 double suited, which I would expect her to be playing. Kevin P here has the bare aces, which we could see him take it either way. being, yeah, not that surprising to see the fold. It is supposed to be a fold, but she's been like overvaluing certain hands, so I would have expected her to play it. Oh, that's really unfortunate for Leaf. Leaf has a monster of a hand.
Yeah.
And is in pretty awful shape. Ace, King, Queen, Jack, double suited is just a wonderful, gorgeous hand. Yeah, and he's going to 3-bet, and then Kevin P is short enough that he's probably just going to stick it in. We might actually see 2 full boards. This will be the first time we'll see 2 full boards.
Yeah, it looks like it.
He's just gonna
I don't
stick it
know if
in.
his pot is exactly enough, but Leaf may want to run it twice. So okay, they did.
Yeah, Leaf has a gorgeous hand. It's 31%.
Yeah, that's the issue with these types of hands, right? Is like sometimes I mean, a lot of the time you're up against aces, and you're actually not doing that well. Yeah. If he breaks this one, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
Wow, that's not good.
It's pretty unlikely for him to win, especially with the queen out there, 10 out there, hearts out there.
You never want to burn all your outs and whiff a board.
That's actually not a good flop.
Yeah, he's
terrible.
It looks like
he's gonna
dead.
lose both.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate for him. To get like that pretty of a hand and then to brick both boards as well against aces is very unfortunate.
This is a good example though of why like the ace blocker is nice in terms of 3-betting, but when you get 4-bet, very often it's. I mean, obviously you can't fold a hand of this strength, but you really need to not be calling off with non-aces like ace-high hands, because like even king, queen, jack 10 would have been a much better. One suit would have much better equity. Yeah.
You have to sort of like have a conversation with yourself and devalue the hand in your own mind.
Yeah.
And like be prepared, like if it's not an all-in situation, and be prepared to be like, I'm gonna have to say goodbye to this. I know, like. But because when you peel those 4 cards, you just want to marry those. Like as a PLO player, you're like, this is it. This is.
I mean, I'm not saying he obviously can't fold getting the price he's getting, but there are a lot of ace-high hands that you can actually just like 3-bet and fold to a 4-bet if people are tight enough when they 4-bet.
Yeah, if you have like bear, ace, king, queen, whatever, which is a pretty great 3-bet combo, and you get 4-bet, not completely okay to just let it go if you're super deep effective, and you know that your opponent runs on the tighter side of things. I actually. One of my largest pots played live was I 3-bet ace king king, got 4-bet, 5-bet jammed, and he like super tank called it off and also had ace king king.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow, I haven't seen that in a while. I saw something. Tell me if you guys have ever seen this before, because this guy at the table who plays a lot of PLO got dealt this situation, and he was like, "This is the first time I've ever seen this in my life," and I realized it was the first time I had seen it too. He flopped. He had 3 outs to a straight flush on the flop, or sorry, on the turn. It can only be on the turn. I've never seen that before. He had an open-ended straight flush draw, and then his other 2 cards were suited and had a gut shot straight flush draw.
That's really.
And I'd never seen that in my life, and I don't know. I've seen like somebody have quads twice in one hand.
Yeah.
I've seen people have a straight flush in quads, but I'd never seen 2 straight flush draws. And he was actually up against quads, so it was like could have been a really funny hand.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Phil hits his. They both kind of. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say they both flopped equity, but Leaf didn't have a flush draw. I thought Phil for a second there had the queen high flush draw to go with his wrap, which is a pretty monster spot, but he took it down. It's been great to watch this because we're seeing such a wide range of play, and as this day progresses, we're going to see people's style shift based off the nature of the cage.
Hopefully, they should. I think it's really interesting to be able to watch. I love to watch any PLO, but to not just watch 6 pros or 6 recreational players, but to see a mix and people with all different types of styles and who are going to take. I mean, we could even see the same 2 people play the same hand and take totally different lines, and neither one of them be totally wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is fun to see. Because you do have a lot of options in PLO because equity is run so closely, and there are a lot of times when this is right and this is also right, and you just have to imply a mixed strategy and do a little bit of both and make sure that you're doing enough of each.
For sure.
So it looks like we have 2 action hands here: king king jack 10 and ace queen jack deuce. If we see a board texture that one of them hits, we're probably going to see stacks or big pots play out. Because it's pretty tough for Phil to hit and then for Sam to miss, unless it's just like bear ace, like ace 4-4 or something like that. that. But for the most part, like when Phil flops 2 pair, Sam's gonna have like a pair over pair straight draw, flush draw type stuff. This is not the best board texture for Sam or for Phil, especially with
Turns
Jeff
out
in
Jeff
there.
B hit here, and he only has a gut shot.
He has a double gutter. He can hit a 6 as well. Deuce and 6.
Oh, I didn't even see the ace 3.
Yeah,
My
ace
bad.
3. Got that deuce there.
I was just thinking he had a gut shot and over and a backdoor flush draw that's already 50% or
Yeah.
whatever.
It is a pretty reasonable amount of equity here. I wouldn't be surprised at all the same check raise this. Although with Phil, this is a very interesting overcall from Phil. Like when I'm in this type of spot, I'm always worried about the player in the big blind check raising.
This is actually a board I might lead too.
Yeah.
I don't hate a lead here.
Actually, I prefer a donk bet, like
Yeah.
40% of the time on this exact texture.
And
sort
so
of texture.
Jeff
Yeah, it's really nice when you have the
doesn't
backdoor nut flush
hit
draw.
Yeah.
anything and is a perfect 50-50. Phil drills his jack to pick up a decent amount of equity. Realistically, having top pair, top kicker, and drops a ton of equity. And Jeff doesn't hit, but now picks up a ton of equity, adding another gutter plus adding nut flush draw. Like, this is a pretty awkward and tough spot for Sam. There's not that much he can do outside of checking. And if Phil wants to like try to hammer, he's going to get, yeah, I think Phil's going to get bad news here from Jeff. That Jeff is just going to stick this in, and Phil's going to be in a really tough, awkward spot.
And this is kind of why I like lead too, because like if we're the aggressor in this pot, we actually get to win the pot on the turn
Right.
in these situations where other players have like one pair. But when you check call, they feel like you're on some sort of like
Draw,
a range that has
reasonable
more
frequency.
draws. Although you could certainly still play a set on this type of board, but
Is that
a lot of good things
pot?
happen.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like Jeff's potting it.
Oh wow, so he's gonna actually make more with this
Yeah,
line.
he's going to make a lot more of this line.
I
And Phil's in a rough spot. Sam is also in a rough spot. We're probably just going to see him fold. Looks like he took it down. Yeah, that was a really great check raise by Jeff. Shows that he's using his hand strength to his advantage, picking up that ton of equity.
and you can see by Phil's body language that he
Regrets.
he let it go quickly,
Yeah.
but he's definitely sort of grumbling to himself.
Why did
in
I
his
bet
head,
that? Yeah.
Why did I bet that? And trying to replay what he could have done differently,
Right.
you know, to take it down or to have saved himself some money. And that's in Pilo, like I always want to make my player have to have like a minute, even if
Right.
it's 30 seconds of like having to do that in their head after a pot, because you can leverage that
Right.
the next hand, or
Yeah.
just create an actual dynamic for hands for the rest of the game where they're always going to be rethinking.
Right, definitely. And one of the things about PLO is that, like, I mean, it's good to see that he's snap folded because,
Yeah.
like, when you bet that turn card and you start tanking, that's when you know you really screwed up. Because, like, you don't want to have a decision that's, like, that awkward, because when it's that awkward, that means you're probably getting denied too much equity. You just, like, want to bet, and when your opponent check raises, you have easy decisions.
Absolutely.
Like, you know you're getting it in, or you know it's an easy fold.
Well, if you haven't thought about it already,
Yeah.
when you make that exact bet, you have to think about that exact scenario.
Right.
What am I? If this happens, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
it has to be an easy
Right.
decision. Otherwise, you shouldn't be betting. You should
It's
just
even
Especially
more
check and
important
wait.
than a no limit
Yeah.
to have that
Way
decision
more.
already
Yeah.
made. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
You just get check raised so much more often in this game. Sam opening the ace king 8-8, so Sam's been a very loose opener, exceptionally loose opener and a loose peeler. I would argue that he's probably been the loosest. This is a pretty interesting flop.
Same as in the gray.
Yeah. Sam's in the gray. Kevin flopping top pair. Sam being the aggressor and having two pair and betting it, but Phil drilling trips. I'd be pretty surprised if Phil raised. He's probably just going to call. Let these graphics catch up. Oh, it looks like he min clicked it. Hopefully this catches up quick. Bet 400. Maybe he check called. I can see that.
It did look like he threw out an additional.
Yeah, it looked like he threw out additional 400. But I think he missed it.
He might have just been matching the bet.
Yeah. Maybe it was a turn. Oh,
This is
too.
pretty.
oh,
This is
jeez.
going to be
That's
really bad
unfortunate
for Sam.
Yeah.
Um,
So in PLO, because you use your best 2 cards from your hand, you know, on a 3-card board like this with 3 4s, you know, any pocket pair becomes a pretty strong hand. And it's so tough for him to lose to whatever Phil has. That, like, Phil's just going to bet a large amount, and Sam is going to have a very awkward decision, and probably one that he can't find a fold in.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, Phil probably doesn't bet 2 streets. He might, but he probably doesn't bet 2 streets with jacks or, you know, queens or something. So he could have, like, 9s. He could have 10s. He might have played aces or kings pre-flop occasionally this way, but
9s and 10s probably bet the turn because full houses.
Yeah.
But yeah, he can definitely have like jacks and queens and kings.
he did bet the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
oh, did he bet the turn?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he checked the turn.
yeah, no, he bet the turn. But,
Okay. Oh,
so
it caught up. Okay.
I mean, he certainly could have some other things other than a 4, but in a lot of these runouts
Yeah.
here,
Looks like Sam called and got the
Yeah.
bad news, which I don't blame that call to any.
yeah.
Oh. How many times have you been on Sam's side of that? I've
Right.
a lot of times where I have a good or a great pair there.
Right.
And
You just can't really find folds against aggressive opponents.
Yeah.
Against really tight opponents, you could, especially with the exact pair that he had. You know, he's
Yeah.
blocking straight draws, he's blocking flush draws, and the way that Phil played the hand, Phil can easily have jacks, queens, kings, or aces.
yeah.
Blocks aces and kings though, so he like blocks some of that value, but he also blocks a lot of like Phil's barrel bluffs, which is really unfortunate for him and makes it into, you know, a lot more awkward and tough of a situation. But when you're up against someone that's playing as loose as Phil, if you're folding pairs here, that's,
You're
you know,
overfolding.
yeah, you're way over folding.
Yeah, yeah.
So like you have to be thinking about who your opponent is in this
Yeah.
hand, and which is why I love PLO so much, is that it's so much more villain dependent than in Hold'em
Absolutely.
in lots of spots like this.
That's why I think honestly, overfolding and like value cutting are way more important in PLO than they are in No Limit. For as important as they are in No Limit, they're just, it's incredibly important in order to make sure that you're staying
Right.
as profitable as you can be. And even just, I mean, for a lot of players, just breaking even is making sure that you're not folding too often,
Right.
or that you're betting sometimes with a hand that you're a little uncomfortable betting with, but is good a certain percentage of the time. You should be betting it there.
Yep, definitely. Leaf Force here with a pretty strong hand in MP2, Ace, King, Jack, 10. Not as strong as his previous Ace, King, Queen, Jack. Double suited. And just getting no action. Leaf's been running pretty unfortunately so far today. He built up a pretty massive stack, and although, do you
Well,
remember
he
what
did win
started
the
with?
he did win the flip twice
Yeah,
for
he
like
did win the flip
10K.
twice.
So
Okay, so he's running okay.
that was
Nice.
kind of nice.
Yeah.
He won one
But other
flip
than
twice
that,
and
he's
lost
been
one
running
flip
pretty
twice.
poorly. Yeah.
Which he's probably up today.
I lost a huge one to Sam yesterday that just crippled me, and I climbed back a little bit, but I couldn't get into it. I flopped a straight. He flopped 2 pair with a queen eye flush draw. Hit his flush on the turn, but he checked it. I potted it because it gave me an even bigger straight. And then the river was the ace of hearts, and I had the king of hearts in my hand. So I